should be good to go to kind of return into this corridor you all see ahead of you, where these floating discs kind of are spaced out between you and this other balcony. On the opposite side of the balcony, you all can see a lever and kind of like a staircase that sort of leads up and away from that balcony. The lever itself is in an upward position. I believe the first time around I described that you could feel the winds already. I feel like I should at least step that back. That was incorrect. So we'll stick to you can hear the winds, but you oddly don't feel the wind perceptively at this point. But you do kind of hear this like cacophony of noise as if there's like a tornado coming through this room. You should still have detect magic turned on, and on some level that has, we're gonna say, like conjuration for like the eternal flames, and maybe like transmutation to the first of those like floating discs that's actually floating in the sky. But there's also transmutation magic on each of the fists of this demon that you're kind of standing below on that eastern balcony. Each of those claws, like its upper hands, emanates transmutation magic as well. But otherwise, that was kind of the point that we stepped away and ended last session. You all are looking across this void. The walls of this place you could potentially like crawl across. It may be difficult. It is certainly a extended period of time to do so from, but as well, like the actual discs themselves are about 10 or so feet, so you have a chance that you could do a running start to leap to the next. They all kind of float at the same height as these balconies themselves. What kind of thoughts do you all have? Do you want to cross this chasm? Are you inclined to leap your way across? Does somebody have a mode to fly? Or would you like to try to climb your way across? And I think, light-wise, I don't believe you would be able to necessarily spot the bottom of this chasm as well.
Yeah, I think Kyranos is going to he's going to kind of looking at that platform and thinking, yeah, I can make it. Maybe hoping to take a bit of a running start and trying to leap across.
Oh yeah, my bad. I forgot to actually respond with, I think you had the one god who actually responded and was trying to egg you on.
Yeah, so yeah, I do have that in my notes. Yeah, Kubazan says as we kind of come out here, the time is now. Jump between these platforms, and we will find ourselves the victors of this great prize.
Yeah, and I feel like Obla Laka was the other one, but you guys no longer have him as far as clues, or rather, them kind of interjecting. They're not necessarily, when these things speak, they're not necessarily always going to be for your benefit, as you guys have figured out. But Kyranos is looking to leap across. It's kind of like cluttered on the actual board here, but again, like I kind of cut these off in sections. You could technically have like one of the people still in the crawl space and give yourself the 10-foot running start that you would need to do like a running leap.
Yeah.
You say? Alright.
Oh,
But
go ahead.
yeah, Ubalaka is with us still, because Erne is has Ubalaka.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Let me
but
confirm then which god it is, because I really did feel like, oh no, it's Ijin.
okay.
Ijin is the unicorn. My bad. I do remember, like, I was like, okay, they don't have both of them here. So you've got the impetus to leap. Are you just going to go for a running start and try to leap across with Kyrnos?
He's gonna look towards the others. All right, who's with me? Um, coming, Ernie.
I mean, that doesn't really seem safe. Sure, there's no other way.
Not that I can see. But if you prefer to just have me go first, I have no issue.
Well, if you think you can make it, sure.
Yeah. So, kind of without further ado, Kyrinos is going to try and get like as much of a running start as he can, and then jump out. And he'd probably like come up near where, like, kind of leaping from where Ernie is to have his little, the shortest distance. Um, but yeah, he's going to try and get a bit of a running start, and then try to leap onto that first platform.
What is your strength score?
23.
Gotcha. So as you run and leap, let me have you do a strength check for me, please. So, Kyrinos, you have Kubazan inside of you, kind of egging you forward to this. You yourself might be a little bit kind of hesitant, thinking about like things in the past. But as you run and leap, you find yourself not only gapping this like 10 or so feet between the banister and this platform, but nearly leaping across and beyond it. And you kind of like slide across, kind of landing on the opposite side, and find yourself like close to the then like western edge as you like hold yourself back and steady yourself. You can feel as you land on this platform as it kind of like sinks, and it almost like bobs as if it's like floating on water inside of the air here, and then after a few moments kind of steadies back at a otherwise level uh, position again, like at the same level as the other platforms and at the same level as the balcony behind you.
So does it feel like maybe this wind that we're hearing was actually like almost this like making the leap easier than it otherwise would have been? Is that the sense that Kyrinos is getting?
More than anything, what I was going for there is that your strength normally is a deterrent, and like you would want to put like all of your effort into it, and it's kind of a reminder that like you're a beast right now.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
these leaps are far easier for you than they would normally be.
Gotcha. Yes, he's going to look back towards Ernie and the others, and like kind of waiting for it to settle kind of beneath his feet. Well, all right. I'm going to leap to the next one. They're a little unsteady, so I would suggest not having too many people on the same one at the same time. Um, but yeah, with that, he will again kind of maybe taking a little bit less of a running jump this time, move and try to leap across to the next platform.
Yeah, the running jump is like mechanically it's 10 feet here. You don't have to put like so much effort into it to like cross it. But basically the 10-foot gap of like this one, it's basically you're still looking to jump 15 feet, like side to side, basically. You need 25 movement basically to do this, and the actual strength score. So that's part of it here is recognizing like the actual like ability that you might be the unique one who can actually do this. The others, it might be a different story, whether they are athletic enough to accomplish something like this.
Gotcha. Maybe if Kyrinos is kind of recognizing that, he's gonna. How much rope do we have?
I don't know if you all have cut rope at this point, so I would think everybody has at least one length. Feel like Taryn might have been somebody who had a second length, but you might have had some cut rope from that as well. But I would say overall, you guys have like at least a few 50-foot lengths here.
So Kieran's almost thinking we could tie some of these together. I need at least 2 full lengths, even more. And then if they toss one into him, and as he tries to kind of leap across, if he can get to the other side and then tie off that end, or if he falls, don't know how far it goes down, but maybe he can essentially, as like if they can hold the other end of the rope, if he falls, maybe he can try and climb back up, as like a kind of a safety measure kind of thing. So Kyrnos, I think, he's got 50 feet of rope himself.
So, do you want to like tie it to your waist and throw it back towards an Enri?
Yeah, I think he'll do that. He'll try and kind of do a little makeshift, like harness kind of thing, and then ask like Ernie to maybe, if they have another length of rope to tie it off, kind of create one longer length.
Ernie gets that rope from you. She's gonna take her own rope and tie it together. Get 100 feet rope at least.
Gotcha. So at present, you essentially just have 2 ropes tied together, but that's essentially what you've done. It's like done what you can to double the rope up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes. So now, kind of with the rope tied around him, once we think, once Ernie kind of gives a signal that she's set on her end, he will now prepare to try to leap across to the next platform.
So the light of the actual torches at each balconies like scatters most of the way through this room. It's pretty dim light, like in the center. Are you carrying any light source while you're doing this?
He's going to cast light on something on his person, that's out, like strapped to.
Gotcha. I mean, your staff is your focus. Does that sound like what it is? So spell focus seems like a good thing to have lit, because if something goes wrong, you're going to have it in your hand.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So you like light up the ram's head?
Yeah, I think that works.
So when you leap across, there's not really actually any need for checks here. When you make this leap, you land on this next of the platforms, and immediately you are going to notice that there is a skeletal figure standing on that center platform. And as you kind of like land, it seems to notice you, and I need you to roll initiative. And we can go all around initiative here as well. What happened with Kiernos there? The 11 was old?
It must have been from the
Yeah,
last
I
one.
had to have some from last week, yeah, because I need to. Fucking kicked. Yeah, so as you leap across, you see this skeletal figure that's just kind of like holding its position on this platform, It's probably about like 10 or 15 feet away from you. And as it notices you, you see as it kind of like checks its distance and it's preparing to leap to the platform to its west. What would Kiranos like to do? Theoretically, I am putting you at. Oh, man.
Kind of like disadvantage because the platform is kind of still probably shaking and
I'll,
kind of moving.
I'll give you. I should have made you roll initiative from the start. It's hard to like subtly have that happen. I think I'm gonna play this off as this has to be after your movement. So you still have your action, but I'm taking your movement from you, and that you've already moved 25 feet to do a long jump at this point. So you could potentially leap across to it using your action to dash, or you could potentially do something to try to prevent it as you're seeing this thing like preparing to leap away from you.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I think Kiranos is seeing it. Yeah, preparing to leap across is going to try to kind of with a little burst of energy dash and essentially try to leap across, hoping to kind of land beside it with the idea that maybe he can try to grab it um, or smack it with his staff. But yeah, he will take the dash action and to try and do that.
Gotcha. Let me get a strength check on this one as you like chain these two jumps together.
Yeah, and I may use my. Um, do I have to declare my inspiration before right now? Now that we've renamed.
Yeah, old school inspiration, I think is definitely you're giving yourself the advantage ahead of time.
Yeah.
This is far more like a don't fuck up kind of thing. If you wanted to use the inspiration, I can pretty much guarantee you like there's no need to roll. But if you
Yeah.
want to save it, like this is really a like don't roll stupid low.
Yeah, in that case, I'll save it. Maybe if I get an attack at it at a later turn, I'll use it then. So yeah, I'll just do a straight roll.
Yeah, so you cover that distance. That one was much closer, but yeah, you're basically yeah. I kind of have a sneaking suspicion this map is just a little bit too small how I have it set. But I think it's basically 15 foot, 15 foot, 10 foot, 15, 15, 15 to get across this. Um, so you land beside it. It doesn't seem to. Yeah, I think what it's going to come down to is this time, as it goes at this point, you've put yourself in a position that you can react as it prepares to leap across to this next one, because you are landing on the platform as it's basically like stepping off. So if you would like to, you can smash at it with your ram skull.
Yep. This is going to be. I feel like Kyrnos is going to. He'd have like one hand out, kind of trying to like for balance purposes. So this is going to be a one-handed strike, but he is going to attempt to kind of swat it with the staff.
I gotcha. I'm not sure why that staff does not like just rolling. Even with a 2, it's still successful.
It would be for 10 damage. I am not going to use a charge at this point.
But that's bludgeoning, isn't it?
It is bludgeoning. Yep.
Roll. Uh. Hmm. Roll a dexterity saving throw. So as you crash through this thing with the ram, the staff of the ram, or the, what is it, bronze staff of striking, this creature just like explodes into all of these chunks and pieces as the bones are just decimated from the crack of the staff. And let's see, this is the Pentagon head, that just kind of like explodes, and you watch as the head kind of like spins and rolls. But you kind of like at the last moment are able to kind of like leaping down and reaching across this platform, like starting to slide off, extremely close to being overly like balanced, like to throwing the balance like off, and it feels like this is one of those like your stomach feels the gravity just about to just dump you off of this thing like a slide, but you're able to get your fingers onto the skull of that skeleton before it falls into this pit below you.
Yeah, and like the kind of doing the windmill of his hands, trying to like kind of bring himself back off the edge.
Yeah, those skeletons need to be a lot beefier if they ever stand a chance to like get away in the least bit.
Yeah, Kyrnos is definitely kind of he's reveling a little bit in his newfound strength because yeah, he was never a big, really strong guy, so he's kind of yeah. But he'll like kind of turn back towards the others and trying to shout because I think the winds may probably makes it like almost hard to hear. But he'll try to hold up the things like I got it, I got it.
I think it probably about this distance, you're probably about 35 feet. You're in kind of the worst position. Oh, wait, no, you're casting light. So they can see you perfectly fine, but they cannot hear you at this point.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, kind of. Yeah, figured that might be. Um, so yeah, okay. Going to then kind of packing away the pentagonal key. Um, going to move to try and leap to the next platform.
So I would say over the next few moments here, you don't necessarily have a big reason to have difficulties on these tests. Um, I think this is one of those things where 2 tests is plenty enough to say that you can like successfully leap across of these. It very much is kind of that like leapfrogging across like lily pads in a pond. You have your friends behind. You don't know how effective this rope is that's kind of holding you back, but it covers. They have a little bit more rope on their end by the time you get all the way across. But oops. As you
So,
do get, what were you thinking there?
oh no, just I was trying to move I'm going to move my
Okay, I
cloak
picked
when
you
you
up at
move.
the same time. So as you get to the other side, you do see. I'm not actually sure what that purple thing is supposed to be there. I think that's just like where the candelabra is, and I think you're going to see some more of the mycelial growth, is what that is. The rusted handle is in an upward position, so if you'd like, you can pull that down. There is like a red carpeted stairs that lead up and away from this balcony on this side. Uh, Kind of up to you what you would like to do here, sir.
Yeah, so the first thing Kyrnos is going to do is going to kind of turn back towards the others. I probably can't see them at this point, but he knows. Um,
Well, they're in light, you're in light. It's really just kind of the center area that you can't necessarily spot a whole lot of what's going on.
Gotcha. Okay. So he is going to basically use he's going to cast message, kind of pointing back across, and kind of he'll take like I guess like 20 or so seconds to just kind of whisper a message to each that okay, I'm at the other side. Um, and I'm at the other side. There's a lever. I'm going to try to pull it and maybe give you an easier way across. And I think they can respond.
Any thought to a response that you might have to this message from Imri?
Be careful. Okay.
Yeah. So once he and Zeros will kind of give like a okay, like a a response, kind of understood. And yeah, I think then Kiranos will then yeah, kind of looking at this lever. I guess the first thing he will in kind of inspect it and just see if there's any sort of markings or anything to indicate uh like what it's um anything like specifically about what it's for before he pulls it. I mean, he's probably going to pull it like in any event, but he just wants to kind of take a look at it first.
Yeah, it's rusted, and that's pretty much all the kind of description really is. The lever does something about this room. You have no clue whether it's going to cause something bad to happen, whether it's going to remove the dangers of the trap. There's no way to kind of predict at this point.
Gotcha. So Kyrnos has he's got a flask of oil. Is that is that oil that he could try to use to essentially kind of lubricate the lever a little bit? He's a little worried if he pulls it too hard, it's going to just like break off, especially given his increased strength at this point. He doesn't want to snap like the lever clean off. If he can help it.
I don't think there's a big difference in a lot of senses. I think a lot of oils are flammable, and I think a lot of like lubricating oils are like both. I think oil is oil, so I would say yeah, you could certainly lube it up and give it a chance to kind of penetrate and hopefully make it easier to actually leverage the force needed and not risk the actual lever.
Yeah, so it'll take like probably a minute or two to do that, or I don't know how long that would take, but he will yeah, try to do that, and then once he is kind of thinks he's gotten that uh kind of a little oiled up, he will go to pull it to the downward position.
All right. If I can I have you guys roll initiative, please? All righty. So, as you pull the lever, you are going to feel as like there's not really much resistance to it. If there was anything to worry about, lubricating the lever certainly helped. But there's a kind of a point where like you get it like past kind of that halfway point and nearing kind of the downward position that it stops in, that you start to feel just like a breath of air, and then all of a sudden you're kind of like blasted backwards and away from the balcony, almost like towards the edge of the balcony, by winds that start to buffet through this room. And as you feel this blast, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw for me with Kyrnos.
Okay, here I'm going to use my inspiration. Jeez.
Can you please roll a D100 for me? I need you to use your action for the next 6 minutes to attack the closest creature you can.
Ooh, 6 minutes. Okay.
And then I need a wisdom saving throw from Zeros, who, as the winds blow from his back and kind of push him towards the edge of this balcony and kind of like past this demon. What is Zeros' passive perception? I feel like we've got that filled out enough that he's got one now.
Passive perception's only 9.
Yeah, so I'd say at this point, Zeros kind of like notices this blast from behind him. Can you roll a wisdom saving throw for him as the winds kind of push him towards the edge of this balcony?
Huh. This not doesn't seem to be syncing up with roll 20s.
Oh, I feel like that's not necessarily surprising.
Well, in any event, that's a 1. So that will be a
Please
total
roll
of
a
3.
D. Please roll a D100 for me. Oh, but you do gain your inspiration back.
Yep, I feel like I'm gonna need. That might not be a good thing for the rest of now that I'm attacking them for the next 6 minutes, but
Zeros is going to be frightened and must use their action to flee from the source of fear. I think Zeros is going to be fleeing back through that tunnel that you guys came through. I think this room is his source of fear at present. And that will be for 9 minutes. God, minutes like this can feel forever. And then Heinrich, when you see Kyranos pulling this lever, you are going to see as he kind of like pulls it down and kind of gets down to this lowest position, the hands of the demon open up, and in each hand you are going to spot a small marble-sized crystal. Let me get the color of these for you. Doesn't even say. Nope, I got them. A scarlet crystal in the right hand and a pearly white crystal in its left hand. As he pulls this down, you'll notice those crystals in the demon's hands. I need you to make a wisdom saving throw with Einri.
All right. See.
You are unaffected by the winds. What would you like to do?
Well, seeing the crystals appearing in.
Oh, my apologies. I didn't even think about it. You guys also have to do those things. Um, at present, Justin, I'll leave it up to you whether you actually think attacking people means that you have to cast spells here. You can kind of interpret that for yourself. I do know that that means that Zeros 100% is going to be running.
yeah, I was gonna ask like how much, because like if that would include trying to get back close to them to attack, or would it just mean essentially from where I am, because I can reach them with cantrips.
Yeah, so I would say that goes back to it's up to you to interpret what this madness that sinks into you means to you. Do you want to leap back across and chase these people down so you can beat them down with your staff? Or would you like to basically just like turn and start manipulating the weave as spells begin to fly?
Yeah, yeah, I feel like he's going to, um, Yeah, he's gonna try to essentially like turn and start like you'll see like his facial features will like turn completely like bestial, like especially with like the goat, and he's gonna try to start essentially leaping back towards them.
Gotcha. Do you think you're taking the dash action and cover two platforms basically this turn?
I think yeah, he's gonna try and get back to them uh, at them as quickly as possible. So yeah.
Gotcha. So I think you could easily make it back to that second platform, as you guys would see Kirino starting to run across with these winds. And then this is where I kind of have to put you back on the big map.
And I was going to ask in terms of the being frightened, is there like a range or any limit on how far he's running?
That's where I feel like no, because it's kind of weird. It is the source of your fear that you are running from. Flee from the source of the fear. So it kind of falls back to it's really, in my opinion, it is up to you to decide what this means in these moments. Um, so you can decide how much, how far, for how long you're fleeing to kind of follow this like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I feel like that means basically like even like going back up levels, like trying to flee back towards almost like the first level, like as high as far up and away as he can get, like total distance, like both vertically and horizontally.
So I think you'll probably be somewhere still in the crawl space. But like if you run and dash, you probably have maybe getting near the water room.
Yeah, is the crawl space difficult terrain because he's crawling, or is it just normal?
I don't think it has to be difficult terrain. I think it was described as like, what is it? I think squeeze generally does mean difficult. Let's call that difficult terrain to go through it. So what is that? 5 feet to Quinn, which yeah, I think you're looking at like yeah, I mean I think it's basically there. It's pretty solid to say that's where you can make it with a dash action this turn. And my apologies then, Chris. Definitely got distracted there on actually forcing him to act those out. So again, Einri, the winds buffeting you, you feel them blasting from behind you, but you are unaffected by like the actual madness that seems to take over Zeros when you see him run. You see Kiranos like charging at you with kind of a rage as he like starts to leap across the platforms, and you see the demon open up its hands with a fiery red eye and a pearly white eye. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking. First things first, I'm gonna grab the crystals because I think they have something to do with all this. As they open the hands.
Gotcha. It's like a 15-foot tall statue. I would say maybe like 5 feet of movement to say that you can get to both arms.
All right. Is it an action to grab like both, or
I'll give you free action on that one.
all right?
If you're looking to like pull out your bow and shoot Kiranos, that's where you're gonna start to use your action to do something else. So picking them up is kind of limiting what you can do for the rest of your turn. But also you don't necessarily have a reason to really think like I need to kill Kiranos right now. You do have a reason to wonder like what happened to Kiranos.
Well, I do know that it happened in pulling the lever, or at least I suspect, because he did send the message, and immediately
Indeed.
after, And seeing him run here. Yeah, this is gonna go against a bit of how she feels, but she's gonna try to jump to the platforms. She feels like we're gonna have to pull that lever back up.
Got you. So, what is your strength score?
Definitely not as good as 23. It's 13.
Gotcha. So, when you go to leap across this, you have the distance to make this, but they are not going to be as easy for you to cross. I need you to make a strength athletics, or you can do a acrobatics check leaping across these.
Then I'm gonna use acrobatics. Let's see.
Gotcha. So running and kind of like leaping up onto the demon effigy and leaping off of the demon, you can leap across to the first of these. You no longer have something to leap off of with this one. You probably have, what is it, 5? You need 10. So you're probably at like 30 feet of movement with that one. You could potentially try to jump to the second of these platforms, but you're going to have to do an athletics with this next one. What would you like to do?
Oh, I'm gonna try to fix this as soon as possible, so I'm gonna use my cunning action dash and try to get over. Athletics.
Gotcha. I'll give you, you can leap to the next platform. You definitely find yourself kind of like sliding back off of it. Not entirely successful to make it across there. Why does it look like it added 30 feet? I feel like I have an extra triangle in there right now. But I feel like, if I kind of put you, yeah, I'm putting you prone. Yeah, I'm going to put you prone there so you could use your action to dash and stand up and not lose half of your distance. But basically, you cannot leap to the next one as you basically like cling to the edge of this platform and you have to pull yourself up from prone.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So, yeah.
And then Quinn. She gets buffeted by winds from her back, pushing her towards the edge of this balcony. I need a wisdom saving throw from her. Need you to roll a d100 for me, Chris. uh, Quinn is just gonna start tripping the fuck out as her visions just go like multifaceted colors and whirls as she sees you all moving about. You're all kind of like moving in like this slow motion where she sees like different frames of each of you kind of like chasing behind your body, and she starts to see other creatures kind of like moving around in this room, almost like she's kind of staring into like the ethereal plane and seeing things that are like living concurrently but on a separate area of existence from ourselves. And over the next 8 minutes, as she trips out, she is going to be disadvantaged on ability checks. Do you want to try to leap across a pit of imminent destruction with Quinn?
Honestly, I feel like, no, because if she's tripping balls, she's probably at the moment at least, bewildered, like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I'm trying to think too, like, I mean, I have weird feelings about music when I am tripping on like mushrooms. I really enjoy like moving between different types of music, and this is like a cacophony of this wind. There's nothing to hear in this place other than like the whirls of this wind, and that alone might be enough to say that like Quinn's just kind of like sitting in this corner, just rocking back and forth. And we're gonna go to Kyrnos. You are probably 2 jumps away from Einri. What would you like to do?
Yeah, Kyranos is going to do the same thing. I think try and dash to get to the platform with Ernie with the intent of striking out at him.
Gotcha. So you can dash across. I think it's kind of on that similar thing. I don't think you have too much difficulty making that distance. Uh, Theoretically, that's the end of your turn. I have a feeling that Chris's turn is to basically run away from you, so you'll eventually get an opportunity attack at him. Zeros can continue to run if you think that's what he is doing, but otherwise, like that sounds to me where we should go to. Einri, are you going to try to run away from him? Do you have the foresight to disengage? Do you expect him to attack you? Um, but it's up to you at this point.
Even if I see his face, like we're busy, like don't think I would expect to attack me. So I think it's more like I'm thinking he's like Zero's just trying to get away.
Gotcha. So that might give you enough where you could make these like into 3 leaps and actually get quite far away here. But I would say when you do make this first leap, let me get an athletics from you, but also let's see as ooh, this kind of goes back to you get to interpret this, Justin. Your madness says you have to use your action. Does that tell you that you should use your reaction to attack somebody who is leaving themselves open to an opportunity attack?
I feel like in this case, because he was basically
Because you
getting ready to
dashed.
strike at him anyway, I feel like he would swing out.
Gotcha. I think that's the right way to play this. I'll actually give you inspiration for making that attack, which I think you have inspiration already. So Chris can gain inspiration.
Yep, I've got it. So it's all yours, Chris.
Thank you. Sure, I'll need it.
But let's see if you can blast him with the staff. I think 17 is your AC.
Yep.
So do
Uh,
you
I,
want to put the magical force into it?
uh, I, I think probably at this point he's just thinking like it's hacking, so he's probably not thinking that much. But I think he will be swinging two-handed here. Okay, only 10 damage.
So yeah, as you leap across to this next one, let me get an athletics. You could do acrobatics and leap off of Kyranos if you wanted. So you can do athletics or acrobatics on this one.
Then I'll definitely use acrobatics. Let's see.
Gotcha. Yeah. So like as you kind of like run, using your friend as like a leaping off point, you do feel the blow of the like brass ram's head staff as you like push off of his shoulders, leaping across to this next platform. You can land, use your bonus action to go for a dash, and make a athletics to the next platform. That is sufficient that you land this one without finding yourself a little bit short, and that leaves you enough that if you would like, you could dash and try to leap to the next of these platforms.
Yeah, I'll do that. Let's see.
Get another athletics from you. Solid. Landing across on this one, you're like You running across these, you're not even feeling the instability nearly as much as like you watched it under Kyrnos, because you're touching for such a short amount of time. You don't like feel that difference. Whereas like the one where you landed and had to pull yourself up was kind of like jarring. That was the closest you got to feeling how these like are floating in air. And I would say with how this is going to play across with this one, you're essentially going to leap to the other one in that same kind of mode. Do you think anything is changing with Quinn?
No, I mean, with the wind and everything, and she's having a really bad trip. Yeah, no, I'm thinking she's just staying put in that corner.
Gotcha. So I think Justin figured out that Quinn is now his target, as she is slightly closer than Einri, and theoretically you are running and dashing towards her.
Yeah, so Kyrnos kind of like he'll give like a bestial snarl as Ernie starts like hopping away, and then kind of like whip his head around towards Quinn, and yeah, he's gonna be dashing and leaping across to get to her. And
Ooh,
like
you know what? Can I get a wisdom saving throw from Quinn, please? Can you please roll a D100? Yeah, at this point, she is not only hallucinating, she is now screaming, laughing, and weeping. And she's going to be doing that for the next 9 minutes as this trip becomes more and more horrific. And she sees like these demons and these creatures from this ethereal realm are now like surrounding her and kind of swarming into her in this little like corner of this room. And even so, she now sees like the form of Baphomet as this ram-headed god kind of approaches her with the rage of all the hells coming to destroy her. And it's gonna go to, you ran across with Kyranos. Did you move Zeros again?
yep, he's still crawling, so I think with his dash he just gets to the end of the crawl space there.
Excellent. And then that should take us to Henry. Let me get one last athletics from you.
Yeah, I'm gonna use my inspiration for this, just to make sure. Let's see.
Solid leap to the final platform. I don't think it takes much more than 25. So yeah, you can use your extra 5 feet to get to the actual lever and move it to the upward position.
Yeah, she's doing that, and hopefully things will turn back to normal. We'll see.
As you push it upward, you feel as the winds like coming across your face kind of give way and the winds die down. The sound of them still like kind of flies through this room in the same way, but you no longer feel them as you lift that. Um, I don't know what's the passive perception for Kyrnos 14.
Yes.
I think it's vaguely enough where we can say you might notice that the hands of this demon kind of clench as you feel the last of these winds kind of going across you. Heinrich, as you stop the winds blowing, what are you thinking about doing?
Oh, she's at the moment just turning around, trying to watch for like Kyrnos, Quinn, and Ceres on the other side. See if there's any change. I think Kyrnos has light still, right?
Yeah, and there's torches on each of the balconies, so you can see well enough on the actual balcony there. I would say turning to look will be your action, and you can roll a perception check. But effectively, you're turning around to see that this is continuing. Their next choices are still uh, informed by this madness that has sunk into the three of their forms. So we'll come back to Henry. At this point, you no longer have control of Quinn, as she is incapacitated with like this laughing fit, this like laughing, screaming, and crying, as she sees like Baphomet like coming through into this reality, like stepping out of the ethereal plane to destroy her. And it's gonna go to Kyranos. You have your target in front of you. What would you like to do?
Yep, Kyranos kind of giving giving a another snarl that Quinn probably is like either completely ignoring or is taking into like this hallucination, and he is gonna raise the staff like basically two-handed and just attempt to smash it down like right into her face.
That is going to be a solid hit. What is it? D8 plus.
Yeah, 1d8
God,
plus
that is fucking massive. A +3 staff and then having Kubazan is just insanity. So Quinn's going to take 14 damage there as she gets smacked. Theoretically, you can continue to move Zeros as he flees. God, he's going to get so far away in 9 minutes.
Yeah, I think you can get about there. He's headed for the stairs up to the next
Yeah,
level.
that's what I mean. I feel like he can pretty much get wherever he's going to go. The real question's going to come down to, like, do you guys have a way to re-find him? I'm going to have to roll for random encounters to see if he... This might be enough that Zeros is going to just disappear and die if the dice go that way. I don't know how to treat him as he runs around solo. That is so. That's going to go back to Henry. You watched as Kyranos still attacks like the crying, weeping figure of Quinn. You need to save your friend. How are you going to do it?
I am going to shoot Kyranos.
Gotcha. Are we doing a sharpshooter shot?
Kind of debating, but yeah, probably. That would shoot us.
Gotcha. Is Kyranos currently below 50%? Does he look bloodied? I feel like you guys are right off a long rest right now, right?
Yes, no, he's he looks good, full health.
I mean, this might be. I'm not sure how I'm doing this, but this is how she fights regularly. So, and if she's gonna hit someone, she's gonna steady aim. It's not gonna be moving. So,
Let me have you roll an intelligence check for me.
yeah.
Here's the thing. With a ranged weapon, you can't make this a non-fatal shot. You can kill Kyranos by trying to incapacitate him to save him from killing Quinn. If you don't also move across these things while you are firing, you are potentially going to knock him unconscious and risk him bleeding out while you try to cross this place to save your friend. Versus steady aiming, you can take him out easier, but you're also still going to be 100 feet away when it comes time to then save both of your friends. So that's going to be my kind of like, this adventurer kind of has to grapple with both of those thoughts. Do you want to be most successful at taking him out? Or do you also want to be there and prepared for when he no longer becomes a foe and is an unconscious creature that you do care about?
Yeah, I would probably want to be prepared to be there when or if that happens. So, yeah, no steady aim, just a shot.
So, to me, on some level, that means you can shoot, run, and bonus action dash, and basically make 2 of these leaps while making 2 shots at Kyranos. and you can cross this in 3, and potentially on that third turn, if Kyranos is still standing, attack him in melee combat where you can actually try to knock him unconscious. Versus also if you knock him out in those first 2, on that third turn, you can potentially try to stabilize him.
Yeah, I'm gonna be trying that instead. So
Gotcha. So we've basically got you going for 2 athletics checks as you're like running and firing. And I also want you to make those 2 shots because this is all kind of happening. I might give him increased AC as you're kind of leaping across these, making some pretty crazy arrow shots. But do you think you're going to try to sharpshoot, or is this just trying to land some arrows? Going for the sharpshooter,
right.
excellent.
Yeah, I'll follow it first at least. Let's see.
So let me get an acrobatics with that one. I kind of want to have them paired up like acrobatics. Or, shit. I'm in athletics, but that's still good. What's your athletics difference? Your acrobatics is like +4 higher than your athletics?
Yeah, because it's a +9 for acrobatics and a +5 for athletics.
Excellent. So yeah, your 14 is solid there. But yeah, I'll give you the acrobatics works on the first one anyways. Because you can still leap off of the banister. So with the second shot towards Kyranos, let me get an athletics check. All right, so your first leap across, solid landing on like as you're kind of running, you take the shot, like kind of like with the recognition of how the bobble of this platform is kind of moving up and down. This is like the same kind of, it's extremely difficult to like take shots on like the open sea because you're like dealing with these waves, and sometimes you're cresting while they're going down into a valley, sometimes they're coming up in a valley, and you're kind of dealing with the same idea as you're like running across and shooting. Your first shot is going to potentially hit with a 19 to hit you, Kyranos.
Yep, that'll hit.
So with that one, you're going to take 27 piercing damage. Oh wait, no.
Flynn's incapacitated, right?
Yeah,
So
no
would
sneak
be
attack. So
18, right?
yeah. 18. And then the second attack, you are still likely to hit him as you like did a great job taking that shot. But you are finding yourself kind of like losing your footing on that one and almost like slipping off the edge with one foot, but like as you're running and catching with the second one, you are going to basically, I was giving you disadvantage on that one from that actual roll, but the shot is still going to sink in for another 13 piercing as 2 arrows cross this chasm from behind you as you're like attacking into Quinn and just pierce right into your back. And that should take us again to Kyranos. Oh wait, back to Quinn, incapacitated. Yeah, I don't think she's going to do anything. I don't think anything changes for her. So yeah, it goes to Kyranos.
Yeah. So does Kyranos have advantage attacking her then if she's incapacitated, or?
She is indeed. Damn, was she advantage last time? I feel like you could have fished for the crit on last one.
Yeah, so I'll roll 1d20 the first time as for the second from the last attack.
Excellent.
Nope, no crit. And then I'll roll 2d20 for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need a 5 to hit her on these.
Oops, I rolled 2d10.
Because you're a
not
plus
2d10.
13. Oh, yeah, whoops. One more still, though.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
so
so another hit for the D8 plus 9 for 14
another
more
14.
on Quinn. You can move Zeros again.
Just remind me which way the stairs are.
Oh, my bad. They are to the right of where he is right now. Yeah, you can see him there. It's kind of weird because you're kind of at the down.
Oh, do you mean to the left? Oh, okay.
His right. So as he runs down that hallway, he'll take the right hand turn. Um, well, those are the stairs down there, though, is kind of what I mean. So he's probably running upward, which means he's like running around this loop at this point.
Yeah, so he's running towards the stairs heading back up. Yeah. So along this balcony here.
This is 30 seconds since the madness set in, and Kyrinos is the short one with 6 minutes of this.
Yeah, I think
That's part
Kieran,
of like
aside from like a couple like kind of involuntary grunts of pain as the arrows sink in, he's like just completely ignoring Ernie. He's just entirely focused on just bashing Quinn's brains in at this point.
so that takes us back to Henry. Um, Same idea. I feel like it fits that you would try to make two of these leaps. If I can get basically let me know what you're gonna do. Like, let me have you do the attack first, and then the athletics checks. But let me have those kind of in line. Like, are you gonna do two sharpshooters, or are you gonna do two normal shots here?
From what I don't see Kyrinos isn't bloody or anything, right? Right.
Nope, he has not been bloodied.
Then I'm going for two sharpshooters.
Gotcha. So yeah, let me get the sharpshooter athletics, please. Okay, pretty much the exact same thing is going to happen here. Only this time, I don't think does a 13 hit you with. I
That
think that
is
actually
actually
is your
does hit
AC.
him. Yeah.
So he's doing almost the exact same thing, leaping across the first one, landing perfectly fine, and like predicting the actual like crests correctly. You take a shot though, and it like pings off of the wing of the demon and just kind of like scatters to the ground. With your second shot though, as you leap across to this next platform, you once again kind of misplace one of your feet, and you're off foot as you're like still in the motion of running catches back onto the platform, but you're kind of like shooting with one foot falling off of the platform at disadvantage. And with that one, it's almost like the slip is enough that like pulls a shot where because technically you were going to hit anyways, but with disadvantage, you kind of slip off of this, still sink an arrow into him. 23 damage. That is insane. And we'll put you on that second platform with two more sections to leap. And Quinn is still incapacitated. I'm gonna go back to Kyrinos. And with that one, you're bloodied.
It's a crit. Yes, he is bloodied.
2d8 plus 9 as you smash into her incapacitated form.
Okay, not too bad. 15. And I don't think he's thinking of healing himself. I think he's just focused on attacking Quinn.
It depends on that one. You have to use your action. You're welcome to make the choice, but if you have a bonus action to heal yourself, you can potentially do that.
Okay, yeah. In that case, I think with the logic being that he needs, in order to attack her, he needs to still be up. So he is going to cast Healing Word on himself with a bonus action. And I feel like he's going to do it at like the highest level he can. I feel like, yeah, with the madness. Yeah, so he's going to cast a 6th level Healing Word on himself.
You can, and look how shitty it is. You can 100% take inspiration for rolling the worst healing word at a 6th level ever cast.
Oh, he actually already has it. Ernie, I think if you used or Chris, if you used it for Ernie, you can have it back again.
I'll take it.
So yeah, you can move Zeros again. We've got. Does that even take you out of bloodied at this point, or are you still bloodied?
Nope, he is still bloodied. He was close to mortally wounded with that last shot. But yeah, so he's bloodied.
Gotcha. So this is kind of the weird position for you here, Chris. You've got 2 leaps to go still. You could like drop your bow and kind of leave it behind on one of these platforms. I guess realistically, you could drop your bow once you land on the second platform, and like draw a weapon to smash into Kyranos and try to knock him like non-fatally, like with a melee attack. Or you can still take these shots and like leap and attack him with your bow. It's kind of up to you at this point, but you've got 2 more leaps, 2 more athletics to cross the gap to get to him. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking gonna take the leap, shoot one arrow, and drop the bow and try to do a non-lethal attack with the weapon.
Alrighty. So first shot, are you going to do a sharpshooter?
And if I see him bloody now, I think I wouldn't want to try sharpshooter, but so you just roll.
Gotcha. So you see him bloodied, and you see him also healing himself.
Yeah, but it still looks like worse for wear.
Gotcha. So normal shot, and then an athletics here.
Yeah.
Oh, let me get a dexterity saving throw from you, sir. All right, on this one, I'm gonna have you fall prone as you like take the shot. Before you actually like fully land, your foot is going to slide off of the edge, and you like are going to sink into him with a solid hit for 10 more piercing damage. But you like find yourself sliding off of the edge, and you are going to have to pull yourself up for half of your movement. Um, and that'll reduce your movement to 15. I think that is effectively enough to say you can't make that leap this turn. You'll have to basically wait on that platform. But it does mean that at that point you could pull another arrow and take another shot at him. But it's up to you.
If I can't make it over, I'm gonna take the other shot. Let's see.
Gotcha. So as you kind of like pull yourself up, stabilize yourself on the platform, and you take another shot, another 10 piercing damage to you, Kyranos, and we'll leave you about that 10-foot jump away. You just need one more leap. You could easily stow your bow at this point, and then next turn be ready to pull your actual melee weapon. But we will go to Quinn, incapacitated, to Kyranos.
Yeah, Kyranos is still smashing away. He is going to again attempt to heal himself, so he's going to cast a 5th level healing word.
I imagine in all of this, like the madness of like these winds, Kyranos is just like ranting, and Quinn is like looking up and just sees as Baphomet is going to town on her, and she's just like screaming. She's laughing at each of these hits that doesn't kill her. She's crying, and another 12 points of bludgeoning damage to Quinn.
Yeah, and Kyranos is just like snarling and just like getting right in her face and just like almost he might even be like laughing kind of maniacally too as he's just like slamming this the ram's head of the staff, like kind of into her face, like over and over. But that is it for Kyrnos, and I will keep fleeing with Zero.
And then to Henry, what would you like to do?
Well, having stowed my bow, I'm pulling out my rapier and I'm leaping across.
Gotcha. Let's go for the athletics first. As you grab your running start, leap across, you can definitely get like a foot above, and at this point, you can attack into Kyrinos. With melee attacks, basically when you find out that you take him to 0 hit points, that's when you can decide it's non-lethal. At this point, though, basically just go to town on him, and you want to knock him unconscious before he basically kills Quinn and or potentially you soon afterwards.
Well, as I'm gonna use fighting spirit to give myself advantage on weapon attack rolls on my current turn.
Excellent. And that's for all of your attacks this turn, right?
Yep, all of my attacks.
First one, solid strike for 17. Second one, a solid strike for another 11. I feel like 28 is pretty close to where we probably already have an unconscious Zeros.
Yep, that will be enough to knock him down.
Yeah, and then that last hit will be a non-lethal.
Alrighty.
So
So
does that mean he
we've
goes down?
got.
Does that
What
mean
were
he
you
goes
thinking?
down? Sorry, does that mean he goes down, but he's stabilized, or just not?
Precisely.
Gotcha. Okay.
So theoretically here, Kyrinos is at 0. Quinn is incapacitated, so she's still alive. She's still cackling. She's still like in this horrendous state. Zeros is nowhere to be seen. I feel like kind of falling back into that passive perception of 20. You saw Zeros flee back into the tunnels, but you would have no clue what that means long-term wise. But at this point, I feel like it's kind of into this idea like, can you move Zeros basically after Einri knocked out Kyrinos? Did you move him again? Or is he ready to be on the next level at this point?
So that last move was after Kyrinos' last turn, so it would come around.
Gotcha.
Presumably after Ernie, it would come back to him, so he'd be moving another 60 feet. He would have moved another 60 feet at this point up the stairs, and I think again with the idea of just trying to get as high as he can.
Oh,
So
I
then,
didn't mean to move everybody over to this one. That was
so essentially he's moving, up the stairs and then towards the next set of stairs, heading up again.
so. Let's delete those, and I'm gonna place you real quick. My bad. And let me place you. I think that's about where you were on the stairs.
Yeah, he was a little
below.
more than halfway up the stairs. Yeah, I think. Not quite to the top yet.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the weird thing. That's probably about the same position. It's kind of weird because they're not necessarily sitting on the same like grid pattern. So this is the next level for him. If you want to measure out your movement there, I'm gonna go back to Chris. Does Einri have any healing? Do you have any thoughts about how to help Quinn? Do you have thoughts of Zeros at this point? What is Einri thinking as we go into, what is this? This is going to be turn 9, so this is like 55 seconds after the lever was initially pulled.
You would see Kyranos does have a potion of healing on like a hip, kind of in open sight.
Gotcha. So if you don't have healing as an option on Einray, he does have one visible to you.
Oh, I do have healing potions on me as well. So, but I am curious about how I'm doing this.
Are you prepared to heal somebody who you just had to knock out before he was able to kill Quinn?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm debating. I'm thinking if I could,
Kind of,
like,
he technically still has that rope tied around him. Um, I don't even. Well, I kind of forgot about that. I think it probably would be like dragged over the edge and almost like dangling down into the pit. But basically, he has like that harness wrapped around his waist already.
yeah, then I would probably try to tie him up, like really tight, before I administer a potion to him.
Gotcha. I don't know what skill to make this other than say like a survival. I feel like survival.
Maybe sleight of hand for like how well you do in the ropes.
Yeah, sleight of hand I always think of as like delicate, not necessarily like for tying so much as like, because otherwise it's kind of just dexterity usually. I would say you could do a dexterity or a survival to like hog tie him effectively.
Oh, I'm
I
gonna
think
try.
you're probably pretty close on each of those.
Yeah, I'm gonna try survival. Oh, that's amazing.
Gotcha. So you get him nice and tied up, and he is incapacitated. That uses your actions. You can't actually heal him this turn. Quinn continues to cry and laugh, and you kind of hear like mumblings of her kind of like cursing Baphomet. But she's now like starting to kind of like curse him as Baphomet's unable to hurt her, and how she's immune to his evil, vile ways. And Zeros, um, you do another move, and I'm going to do another.
Yeah, I'm still seeing Zeros on my screen, but it's blacked out. I think he would be essentially coming around this,
I've got this one blacked. My bad.
but I think essentially he's going around the balcony again towards the next set of stairs up.
Bam, you should be able to see this one. Um, is that where he was able to get from last turn, or like was that short of where you could have gone last turn?
No, that actually worked out. That was where he could get. So now
All
he's
right, and
just
then that there is where you can get this turn.
yep, yep. That's another.
I don't have a token for you on this one. But if I move you over to this screen, you can still see the layer below, and you could place yourself down there, and that gives you the room to next time we get to you. So, Einri, you have tied up Kyranos, and are pretty sure you've got him like hogtied, and you can revive him if you would like.
Oh, trusting in my not work, I am giving him a potion. Hopefully, won't be mad when he comes back.
Just to check, are you feeding him the one off on his belt?
No, she's actually taking one of her own. So
Okay.
2d4 plus 2.
Do you have like any special markers as to where that potion came from?
That's one of those potions that I bought.
Gotcha. So yeah, you can heal him for 7 points. Feel like I'm gonna throw it to Kyrinos. Make a wisdom saving throw.
All right.
When you come to, you still want to attack the closest creature to you. You are tied up, but you have Kyrinos and Quinn right next to you. What would you like to do?
Yeah, and I think so. He would have dropped his staff when he went unconscious. I think he might actually, if Quinn is within distance, he's going to try and just like reach out and like, well, I'm trying to decide if like he should try to essentially break his bonds free, or he can attack. Essentially, he's going to try to bite her, or maybe like just
Gotcha.
like
I was
headbutt her
thinking the
like a ram.
potential. Exactly. I was thinking the potential of like trying to stand up into the headbutt.
Yeah, no, I think that's like, yeah, just like standing up real quick and trying to like headbutt into her chin, like, yeah. So I think it's just an unarmed strike.
Yeah. So as you revive Kyrinos, you see like a moment later, like the crazed look remains in Kyrinos's eyes as he like stands up and immediately smashes his like budding ram's horns into like the lower side of your chin, and he's going to deal 7 points of bludgeoning damage to you as he stands up.
Oh, to
Uh,
me?
Oh,
yep,
I guess
to
actually, should I? Because I guess are they both like within 5 feet of
Oh
me?
yeah. I mean,
So
technically, you're right next to each of them. I didn't even think about it like that.
yeah, so when I think he went down, he probably he would have lost his focus on Quinn. So I'm just gonna say I'm gonna roll a d4. I'm gonna say odd is he's attacking Quinn, even he's attacking Ernie. So
All
he's
right,
still
so
going
it
after
is Quinn.
Quinn.
So does that knock Quinn unconscious? Oh
Yep,
my
it
god.
does.
This is just a absolutely unpredictable amount of craziness going on right here. Yeah, so that's gonna take us to Zeros. So I need to bounce you. Oh wait. Um Do you do anything else? You're only really inclined to use your attack action, but you are welcome to roleplay this madness however you would like. Are you going to try to flee while you are bound by rope? What other thoughts do you have with Kiernos right now?
So I think Kiernos, like so he stands up and headbutts her, and let's see. Yeah, I think he's gonna try and heal himself again if he can. Yeah, I think healing word is just a verbal, so he doesn't need his hands free.
Sounds right.
Yeah, so he's gonna cast another 5th level healing word.
I think both of you are still inspired, but once again, I'm going to give you inspiration for that.
So he's still bloodied at that point.
And then theoretically, that puts us back onto Zeros.
Yep, and Zero. Yeah, so he was just at the bottom of the stairs.
Realistically, I have this one kind of hidden purely because you guys were on the sewer level. Are you looking to go towards the entrance?
Yeah, so he's essentially running up this next set of stairs, and then he gets to here with his 60 feet. Yep. But yeah, I think he's going to be running, essentially trying to flee outside. I think the madness is kind of like just like he's not thinking of any like traps. He's just, I need to get as far away from this thing as I can. In order to do that, I need to get out of here.
Excellent. And then we are going to go back to Kiranos. This is starting minute number 2.
I think Ernie gets to go next.
Oh yeah, my bad. I meant Ernie. We are now 65 seconds into these madnesses. What are you thinking here, Henry?
Well, seeing Kiranos just knock out Quinn again with a headbutt. Oh, coming back, knocking out Quinn. She's gonna try to knock Kiranos out again. So let's see if I can do that.
So I have a feeling you're going to take him to the mortally wounded state as you kind of like smash into him twice with your rapier and do a total of 13 damage.
Then I'm gonna action surge.
Gotcha. Am I correct though that you're in mortally wounded state? What were you at, like 25?
So
you're
not
like
quite.
12?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
not quite.
So action surge, 2 more rapier, kind of like hilt shots.
Yeah.
You have a second rapier where you can like bonus action with another
No,
finesse weapon, or?
but
Gotcha.
I am thinking of doing because I have insightful fighting, so bonus action, so I can make my sneak attack. Either that or steady aim, because I haven't moved. I get advantage. I think I could go for the steady aim instead.
I
That
thought
could
steady aim was
Gotcha.
only ranged attacks.
As a bonus action, you give yourself advantage on your next attack roll on the current turn. That's
Yeah, I
all.
was gonna say it kind of makes sense if he's like in melee combat that he could steady aim with an actual attack there. So
Yeah, I guess I'd only ever use it for ranged, but yeah, no, yeah, it doesn't say that. Yeah. So that will be enough to take him down.
gotcha. So that puts you basically unconscious again. You're still tied up. He's still tied up. You've kind of figured out like this person who looks a lot like a ram is definitely still a threat as they kind of come to. So you are in weird level of, do I kill this person? Can I risk this? And I think this is where we'll need our first death saving throw for Quinn. As you finish up with Einrei. You don't have to whisper it to me, because Justin can't affect any change here with her. And you're the one who knows. Yeah, so. So 1 failed for Quinn. Let me throw Justin back up to the rotting halls. I need to actually switch over to these and look at the traps because you are basically about to run into the traps at that front entrance.
Yeah.
Do you have thoughts on how you are running to the front entrance? Are you just rounding that corner as tight as can be and running like down that hallway?
Yep, I think so. Essentially, yeah, coming down this way. Where was it? He was, I think. So that's 30 feet.
Gotcha. And then you think you're just dashing straight down for the next part there?
Or yeah, sorry, I don't remember where the first trap is. So he's just making a beeline straight down from there for 30 feet or until nothing stops him.
I think that's going to be 4 darts hitting him. Basically, as you run, you kind of hit a pressure plate there. And let me get.
I think he would have had mage armor on, so it would be a 15 AC. I don't know if they have a plus to hit.
Oh, yeah, I've got a +8. So it's 22 is the lowest of those.
Oh, yeah, they all hit. Yeah.
So yeah, they're all going to hit you. I need 4 Constitution saving throws from you with him. 2 good and 2 will fail. Does it save or suck? So it's half on a success. So this is going to be a lot for Zeros. So
You need
the initial
104 to kill him.
104.
Outright.
All right. Potentially, I think he's safe. But we're going to do the initial dart damage that hits him is going to be 5. And then, let's see, we're going to do 2 for full poison is another 31. And then 2 for half poison is 9 and 7. So what is that? 16 more.
I think
So
that's just enough to knock
32,
him out.
47.
We've got 52
Oh,
total.
the 100 was like for the kill.
104 would be, to completely kill him. So he's got 52. So I think that knocks him out.
Yep, I think I did just 52 damage there.
Yep,
'Cause
that's what I got.
36
plus 16.
47. Yeah. So yeah, he's gonna be basically death saves to see if he survives. So for what it's worth, just because he's alone and isolated, can I just have you roll essentially just start off with 3 death saves and see where that puts us? I guess really if you roll a 1 or a 20, that changes everything immediately, but bam, he's stable. So for him, it's going to be kind of like, does a random encounter happen? But I think we'll probably end up getting to a break as soon as we figure out the happenings with the main party here. So I'll move you back down to the Vault of Reflection. And so, Henry, you know it's probably dangerous to revive Kyranos, as his madness kind of like stuck through that. You now see for the first time in like this minute that Quinn is quiet as she's basically been knocked unconscious with that last hit and is bleeding out. What would you like to do with Henry?
Seeing Quinn being in critical condition base, he's gonna administer a potion to her, and that's gonna be the last of her store-bought potions. So hopefully,
Gotcha. So right into that'll stabilize her. You can roll the actual healing so we know like what hit point she's at. But that removes any potential chance at like a failed medicine check and then rolling a 1 that like was the one chance at her dying kind of thing. And kind of brings her back to a stable position. This is now the 12th round since the since the lever was pulled. And I think here is where let's take a little bit of a break and we'll kind of come back and go through these next minutes in more of like a narrative than necessarily turn by turn kind of situation. So let's go for 15 minutes. If everybody comes back early, we'll start back up early, if that sounds good to everybody.
Yep, sounds good.
yeah, sounds good.
Are either of you back at present?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, that was craziness. I did not expect 3 of you to potentially fail that.
I mean, think if we all failed.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that you just stop functioning. I think realistically, Justin started it off with the absolute worst one, which is just to right away, you are hostile towards the nearest creature.
And we are the nearest creatures.
Yeah, every other one every other one would have made kind of like nothing happen. That's quite literally the only one that turns that into an exciting, chaotic event. That's actually kind of hilarious.
Hey, I'm back.
We were just kind of noticing, Justin, that that's literally the only of these short-term madnesses that turns it into like a crazy, chaotic, and hostile event. Most of the other ones, you're pretty much like incapacitated, paralyzed, stunned, cackling in hallucinations.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because if Flynn hadn't succumbed, then she might have been able to like grab Zeros and go after him. But like she's kind of stuck with this like crazy hallucination while Zeros just is booking it too. And then you got to deal with the crazed Kyranos coming at you with um trying to kind of kill you both. So yeah.
Yeah, that's like all around like the best combination for that to turn into just a crazy, like, I don't know if it's quite a TPPK moment, but we definitely could have lost 2 to 3 party members, like, as a potential there.
Oh yeah, because I don't think Kyranos, if he had been able to get Quinn down, he would have just kind of kept like before Ernie could knock him out. He would have just killed her and then turned to him.
Yeah, I think quite at the end there, I think Henry failed 2 of her jumps by 5, which is where I gave it to a like saving throw, and then you had to like you kind of fell prone. Those 2 jumps were big. Had you actually fallen, like failed the saving throw, that would have 100% changed everything. But those 2 failed were like the make or break where Quinn was essentially like in the risk of getting like her skull bashed in at the end there. It was crazy how close that got to. So
Yeah, if Ernie had fallen, I'm curious whether like after Kyranos, if like he had fallen down to the bottom, if Kyranos after killing Quinn would have used Feather Fall to kind of float down and finish him off.
yeah, I mean that's where it falls into it. You would have been inclined to do so, and all of a sudden like take the fight like to the bottom of that pit. So we have a little under 5 minutes for Kyranos. But I think it's going to actually be about 9 minutes or 8 more minutes that pass by before Quinn. I don't think you would even notice when her hallucinations stop because she might stop kind of like referencing like Baphomet kind of before her, which obviously that is quite literally she's hallucinating Kyranos as Baphomet. Um, she would still be crying, screaming, and laughing for another minute, even beyond that. So we're looking at like another 8 minutes before she recovers. And I think that's kind of the big thing. Like with Einri, do you think there's another point where you would be inclined to try to heal Kyranos? Or are you basically waiting to see what happens with Quinn before you do something? What do you think is happening with Einri at this point, as she's like basically babysitting one person who's unconscious and seems to be a threat to everybody else, one person who is barely alive but is like a cackling mess of tears and laughter, and then also the thought that Zeros disappeared.
Oh, her immediate thoughts are on Quinn and Kyranos. Zeros is in the back of her head, like he's still being thought of, but it's more like I can't do anything about that right now, so focusing on what you can do. And I think she wouldn't try to revive Kyranos again after seeing what happened first time. I think if she can, she would
You
try to lead Quinn like back into the room where we rested and try to drag Kyranos back in there as well, just to get out of this hallway balcony thing we are in.
Gotcha. I don't think that would be problematic at all. It would take quite some time, but I don't think it's going to approach those minutes. So maybe 5 or so minutes passes by where like you start off by like pulling the like cackling and crying Quinn. You like move back into the tunnel and you can still hear her as you get to the silent body of Kyranos, and you can start moving Kyranos back in again, where you then get like a louder and louder like hearing of Quinn as you get closer and closer back to her. But a few minutes pass by before you would get yourself back in there with the two of them. Is it otherwise just kind of like wait and contemplate?
Yeah, basically. Well, probably trying to keep like a little bit eye on Quinn just to make sure that she doesn't start harming herself or something like that. The way she's acting, but otherwise, nothing.
Gotcha. So otherwise kind of caring for her, vaguely like medicine check, like putting some water on a rag and like almost like cooling her down to see like, is this like some sort of a fever that like took to her? Is the magic abating? So probably around the time that you're doing like that is where you might notice like that difference of she's no longer like hallucinating, and she's no longer like kind of crying out to things that aren't there. You're not hearing these like references to Baphomet. She's not like screaming as like things were like jumping out at her like from the ethereal plane. So you would notice like a little bit of that like kind of calming down, like in the final minute before effectively she will come to, about like 10 minutes into all of this happening. She starts to come to and is once again herself.
Oh, alright, if Quinn is herself now, then maybe like try to retie Kyranos again just to make sure, and then trying to give him my last potion and hopefully.
Gotcha. Between the two of you, I would say you can restrain uh Kyranos successfully, essentially having, between the actual knots of rope and like having Quinn hold Kyranos, you could actively restrain him. That would, effectively, there's little more that you can do other than knocking him back out, but it would essentially put him at disadvantage and it would give you advantage to attack him were something to happen. Would you be more inclined to have Einri restrain him and allow Quinn to administer the potion? Or do you think go for that, like Quinn restrain him while Einri administers the potion?
I'll think Andrew will try to restrain him while having Quinn administer the potion.
Gotcha. So on this go about, when Einri is holding him, you've already got the ropes kind of tied around him, and you're using those to give yourself a little bit of the extra advantage against the potential threat. Quinn can administer the potion. Is that 7 another roll, or is that...
This is the thing, because technically I don't know if this is a healing potion. It's the potion from Nang Nang's too, the cherry red that looks like a potion.
There is, just to remind you, there is one on one that looks like a healing potion on Kyranos's belt that you can see too.
All right. Yeah, I think I would probably
Let's
try
see
to
if he
take it.
kills you first.
Okay.
um,
What am I feeding to Kyranos? I'm sorry.
All right, was that the potion of supreme healing? Does one of you still have the potion of supreme healing?
I don't.
I feel like that should have been it though, because from Nang Nang's tomb is where it was. Maybe you just didn't mark it as such.
Oh, then that's okay. Then hopefully it was that then. So I just remember it was. I don't remember it being told what it was. I just remember it as being the cherry red potion from Nanang's tube. That's what I have, at least.
If this is essentially, God, I don't even know how to distinguish. Besides, like often it's just saying it's bigger. But I don't like the idea that there's multiple doses bigger. If this were, God, that's such a hard distinction. With the recognition that this one might be a far more effective healing potion, because technically that potion should be a potion of supreme healing. Would you be inclined to hold it back and use the potion that is on Kyranos' belt?
I mean, if I can see that it's then I would probably try to use his own potion. Save this.
Gotcha.
First.
Do you just have a normal potion on your belt with Kyranos? Just a 2d4?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say mark that one off, and just roll 2d4 plus 2 for. I don't care who really rolls it, whether Chris does it or whether Justin does it, but it's up to you guys really. So you can give him that one.
Yeah, you can go ahead and roll it, Chris.
All right.
Alrighty. So about 10 minutes into this, we have the three of you in this kind of like forgotten room that is between like the like, horrendous winds of that previous room and the waters of the kind of like wall of water room. Zeros is still missing. What kind of thoughts do you all have about when it comes time to treat with that? You now have all three of you conscious. Kyranos does not seem to still be mad. He comes to, and I don't even know how much either of them would kind of recall. I think for what it's worth, once they're kind of like sober of it, each of them kind of has like the memory with like this odd like impetus to do those things. Kyranos, like for you, it might be that you had like an active like sight of like demons within first Einri, and then like it leapt to Quinn. It can be up to you how you describe it, but just like each of those two has like those memories. They can't explain why it was so powerful. They can't quite explain why it's so quickly gone. But like that's just kind of where their memories go. And then with that, like, where does this bring you guys in the thought for Zeros?
Yeah, so I think Kyranos he'll come to as he says he's fed the potion and go to stand up and move, and kind of at that point, I guess realize that he's being restrained and tied, and maybe kind of hazily start to remember kind of attacking. Maybe he doesn't think he doesn't recall attacking Ernie and Quinn. He's actually kind of maybe like looking around and did you kill them? What happened? The demons, and after I pulled the lever, what?
And Aaron will just go, what? Demons? You went insane, basically. Started attacking us.
I was attacking you. I'm sorry. Where's Zeros?
I don't know. He pulled the lever. Just ran away. Know where he went.
How long have I been out? Would you mind and he's going to kind of gesture to the ropes and to Quinn. Would you mind I'm feeling I don't know what came over me, but I swear I'm feeling better.
Oh, being better. They aren't mindlessly attacking us anymore, at least. So yeah, and Henry and Quinn will like untie him.
Oh, and would Ernie have thought to bring Kyrnos's staff along with dragging Kyrnos here? Kyrnos would have dropped it when he went unconscious back on the platform.
Yeah, debating. I'm gonna put that to a roll if that's okay.
Oh, 100%. Go for it.
Yep. Odds I did, and even I didn't.
So maybe like tucked away and like behind Quinn at this point, because like Einri was the one who was holding you. Maybe Einri could like nod to it. Quinn doesn't even necessarily know it's there, but essentially like kind of hidden. Einri can like go back behind and return your staff to you.
Thank you, and he'll probably notice like now he'll notice like probably like some of Quinn's blood on the staff and kind of like look to her and again terribly sorry. I obviously wasn't myself.
Yeah, and Quinn will basically just give you a shrug. Oh, I don't remember much either of what happened. No harm, no foul.
But you say Zeros fled. Should try to find him. Do you think?
Yeah. But do you think we should start? Like, where would he have gone?
Well, there's only one way it could have gone from here. Perhaps we head back through the tunnel. Perhaps we can pick up some sign of him.
Oh, all right. You look, both of you look pretty beat up here, but do you want to go immediately, or do you want to rest up a bit for it first? Just wanna, I don't know if you have any more magic you can do.
Not sure what to leave him on his own for any longer than we have to. But to your point, I can perhaps heal a bit of at least some of the worst of these wounds. And he's going to take a little bit of time. He's going to cast. He's going to cast a 4th level healing word on Quinn, and then a 3rd level on himself. So that's 10 for Quinn and 11 for Kierna.
Yeah, I think Quinn is actually gonna second wind herself as well.
But after doing that, Quinn or Kiernos is going to suggest we kind of head out immediately, and he is going to start kind of squeezing back through the crawl space back into the room with the water. And once out there, probably try and pick up any sort of sign of where Zeros might have gone.
Does anyone have a way to track Zeros. Otherwise, I think you're going to be putting this to survival checks, which I would say is basically Ainri has a chance to track with survival.
Yeah, I'm just looking through my spells, but I don't think Kyrnos has anything apropos here.
Locate person, locate object. If you could think of something that he has, those would potentially be the two most likely. I don't think anybody has a reason to say they've got Hunter's Mark on him.
Yeah, he does not have. Yeah, he's got nothing.
Yeah, then it's survival from Ernie then.
Gotcha. Let me get a survival from you here.
Yeah, I'm gonna use my inspiration for this. Just to make sure.
Let me say no to that, as this is gonna be a survival for like finding him. This is gonna be the decider whether it takes you guys like 20 minutes and you like follow directly towards him, or does it take you like 5 hours and you guys are walking all around this place?
Okay then. Oh, let's see. Survival in this.
Gotcha. So I think with this one, you all are going to find that as you kind of move up and through out of this immediate area, you start to spot little bits of his steps, like through some of like the mycelial mass, where you see these like running footprints that are some of the freshest, and it allows you to immediately track like from this water area, kind of straight ahead through that immediate area towards the staircase, and you start to see more and more signs that somebody just ran through here, and it's enough to recognize that it is indeed Zeros's footprints. And that pretty well puts you on the idea to track down, like, he's running up the stairs. And you can kind of get that from just this immediate level's perception, as you kind of have a extra little reason to almost be glad that there is this like purple mass of aberrant growth along this level. When you get up to the next level, you find that there is a lot less to be kind of noticed, but you kind of bank on that idea. If he's fleeing up, he might be going out. And, you know, you take a few moments to look down some of the sideways. You don't, like, stop to see, like, did he go where, like, the zombies are actually alive, blocking off Papa Zotel's room at this point. You just kind of move past that. You kind of look down the little hallway towards the gravity room and just like take a quick look, and you keep moving up the stairs. You're not seeing any real further sign of his footsteps down those little halls. You're just kind of assuming stairs, 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 and you climb up and kind of finding yourselves towards the top level here. As you make it up towards the area where you start to see the actual greenery of the forest outside of this place, that is kind of another point where you do start to see his footsteps again. And you start to see the steps kind of continuing into some of this greenery where there's like moss and some actual vegetation. And you are going to spot, as you kind of like follow these steps to position. If I can have you guys place yourselves just kind of like at the edge of the stairs, kind of turning towards that front entrance.
Do you mean up by these stairs, kind of up, just coming up to this first level, or where you've turned the corner by now?
Kind of at the corner.
Gotcha.
Basically, what I'm looking for you guys to have is we're going to have you guys like stepping into combat here. You are rounding this corner to basically see one of these dwarves with one of the large like helmeted like monstrosities, and this like construct of body parts is holding the unconscious body of Zeros. You're basically witnessing the moment where Zeros's body has been discovered, and they're like taking him to harvest and turn him into one of these creatures. And you guys are kind of rounding that corner. So we are going to pick up with this going into a combat. All right. So the Tomb Dwarf is going to be the first to kind of react here. And it's going to think you're going to hear as it kind of like speaks in Omawan, kind of like a curse towards the two of you. It's going to reach for its crossbow and take 2 shots into um, Einri, and let's see. One of those should hit with the 23. And it'll do 10 piercing damage to you as like it very quickly kind of notices you. You hear like a little bit of like cursing that you don't necessarily know how to interpret, but it seems pretty clear it's not terribly stoked to be seeing you all at present, and it's gonna go to Keranos from there.
Okay, so the is it the bigger one that is carrying Zeros's body?
Correct.
Okay, so
So at present, let's say it's kind of a little bit more like that, like where it's just visible kind of thing, carrying Zeros.
gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so I think Kyranos is going to round the corner, um, up this way, kind of staff in hand, and seeing the thing carrying Zeros, he's going to shout out like, unhand him.
Is that a command?
No, I think he. Yeah, I don't think he has command.
I was just thinking how funny it would be to just throw him over the edge of the stairs. Like, unhand him? Okay.
But I think he is going to try. I think he's going to try casting suggestion on the large one, and he's going to say, "Put him down gently on the ground at your feet."
Son of a bitch. So yeah, as you kind of say, like, gently place him at your feet. You are basically going to, what is it? I think it's just on its turn. It's inclined to do that. Any other thoughts?
I think that is going to be all for him.
Oh shit, that's 8 hours.
Oh, but it says if the suggested activity can be completed in a shorter time, the spell ends. So once it lays it down, the spell ends, or once he completes the command. So essentially, the next turn, I
Oh,
think, or its turn,
okay.
Yeah, so I guess if I had tried to tell it to like, yeah, I could have maybe thought of something better, but in the moment, that's what he suggested. So
Well, I'm going to leave it with the 1 minute count then, because it's essentially going to satisfy the first turn here.
Yeah.
And it's going to go to Henry. What would you like to do?
Oh, from she's gonna. Yeah, she's gonna sharpshooter that dwarf creature. Oh, and before I forget, I'm also gonna steady aim at that first shot.
Gotcha. The steady aim gives it advantage, so that first one is a sneak attack for 34, and then the second one's going to hit for 20.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like that right there is just kind of like 2 planks right through like the throat of the dwarf, like as it's cursing out at you. And by the time it finishes like this O'Mauen curse, it has these 2 arrows that are straight through its mouth, and it's just falling unconscious and dead onto the
Oh, just because I'm curious now. Ainri hasn't had roll like to see if she knows the Umaon language, but I mean that might just be written. Would you know if?
Most of the tests have been for the written language. I don't think there's any reason to say that you would have spoken language abilities. But I can flip to the page to see for the test if you want to do feel like it was an intelligence. But if you just roll a d20, once I find it, we can go for the modifier.
I mean, I don't think I made it with that roll.
Yeah, sadly, the chapter breakdown in this book as well, like the table of contents, doesn't even break down like all of the shit in chapter 2, which are all the different locations. So I don't have a quick reference to that actual page. But like when we take another break here, if you kind of write down that you rolled a 6 on a d20 to see if you know O'Mauen, we can figure out what that means later. Because depending on what it is, like because you're an archaeologist, you might have a pretty high, because it could be history, it might just be intelligence. But like, your history might be enough to make that 6 high enough. I don't think it was a terribly hard DC. So I think it's possible that you can read it. But you definitely wouldn't recognize the spoken language more than just recognizing it as O'Mauen. Um, but like jumping back into things, you kill the tomb dwarf here, and it will be up to Quinn. You're basically like, again, it's not necessarily doing it yet, but you're watching as the big creature is setting down the body of Zeros. What would you like to do with Quinn?
Yeah, she is gonna run up to him. Uh, yeah, I'm thinking she's gonna. He's setting him down. Yeah, she's probably gonna attack him. How do you like? If nothing else, if it's dead, it can't take him. So just wait a sec. It crashed for Quinn's page for some reason, so I'm just getting that up again.
Gotcha. If you want to and just roll 20. All right, there we go. 1 went through. That'll be a hit for 12. And then the second attack roll. Yeah, it was an intelligence 10 history check. Both of those hit for 24. What's your history modifier?
That is a +4. So I
Yep.
just
So that's what you needed was the 6.
did that. I'm just gonna put that in the Heinrich's sheet.
So Quinn kind of moves forward, cuts into this thing with 2 slashes from Megabalnost, and the creature kind of like ignoring these slashes as it like slowly sets down the apparent corpse.
Actually, once it's damaged, the spell ends immediately, so it no longer has to do that.
Oh, when it takes damage, it drops the
Yeah, if
because
you
it's
or
a
any of your
charm.
if you or any of your companions damage the target, the spell ends. Yeah, so once Quinn hit it, it was no longer required. It was no longer under Kiranos' charm. Yeah.
Yeah, so as it's like setting down Zeros, and it like comes to as she's slashing into it, it's just going to reach out with its other arm and just try to like smash Quinn against this wall. I'm gonna go for the first attack. I want a athletics or acrobatics contest, as I'm going to try to pull out your legs and throw you prone, and then I'm going to try to mash your skull into the ground. So, contest. Oh, I'm going to get you on that one because I've got a plus beyond my 18 here. As I knock her prone, and then I'm going to attack with advantage. I should hit, and I'm going to deal 15 bludgeoning damages. Basically, I like take one hand to like pull out your legs, and then as I get you like falling prone, I'm just gonna hammer fist into your skull from above, and that's gonna take us to Kiranos.
Yeah, so Kiranos, seeing the charm broken, is going to move and
Yeah, and like at this point, it's like almost holding Zeros with its left hand, and it's like just holding him like almost like a lion would like the scruff of its like cub. It like was going to set him down, and now it's just holding him like a bag, like from some of his clothing.
yeah. So at this point, um, actually, I think Kiranos is going to, in keeping with what he's been doing lately, he's going to charge in with the staff and kind of swinging at it two-handed. Essentially, he's trying. He wants to make him drop it, but it's really just an attack roll. So.
Gotcha. If you wanted to, you could use your attack and do effectively like a grapple and try to grapple for Zeros. And we can do a contested strength.
Yeah, that he'll try and do that. He feels bad about almost killing the rest of them.
You probably have a solid chance here because I have a total of a 10. So yeah, as you kind of like move forward, seeing the bit of a weakness, maybe like smashing across with your staff to like hit its hand, you can kind of like move forward and like pull Zeros away as it's like letting loose of him. And you effectively have Zeros. I'm not sure how far you moved there, but now that you're grappling someone, your movement is halved to drag him away. So I feel like you moved maybe 15 or 20. You can probably move 5 feet away to drag Zeros like a little bit away from it.
So actually, what he's going to do is, as he kind of manages to get a hand around Zeros and kind of get him out of this thing's grasp, he is going to cast, or he's going to basically, yeah, cast Healing Word on Zeros with his bow with a bonus action.
Touche.
So he's just going to cast that at first level just to get him kind of trying to bring him back up to consciousness.
So I think Zeros is going to stand up in that same square. He cannot end his turn in that square. But you will come to consciousness. You are prone, and it's basically 5 movement to go pretty much anywhere but where Quinn or Kiranos is right now.
Yes, I think Zeros is going to stand up. He's going to disengage to try to get away from this thing and back away. Guess he can only get like 10 feet about between standing up
You could
and.
go 15. He's got 30 movement, so you could go 5 more.
Okay, yeah. So he'll disengage and kind of try to back away here, and that will be all for Zeros.
So, Einri, you've got to clear targets as this thing is no longer holding Zeros. And it's kind of like face to face with Kyranos. Quinn's knocked on the ground. Another aim shot. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, steady aim sharpshooter. Let's see.
Yeah, so 33, 52 damage. 76. It's going to leave it pretty severely bloodied here as you like pierce 2 more arrows through this creature. You guys have a solid sense that you're nearing where any given shot can kill this thing. Anything else from Einri at that point? No, you said steady aim, so your movement 0. It should go to Quinn, who's currently prone, but you can stand for half your movement there.
Yeah, Quinn's just gonna stand up and start swinging at this thing. So let's see.
First one is a solid hit. It's going to still be on its feet as the second one plinks into its metal. This creature is now mortally.
Yeah, I think Quinn is gonna action search at that. Just try to get completely down.
Gotcha. Double crit right there with the 1919. Yeah, I feel like that's a solid time to just kind of split the creature in two as you guys end this little chance meeting of the creatures that were nearly going to carry away the unconscious body of Zeros.
Zeros, thank the gods you're still alive. Feared the worst. And Zeros will kind of, similarly to Quinn and Kyranos, he's got somewhat hazy memories. He essentially just remembers being overcome by just like a fear that kind of drove everything else out of his mind, and he probably doesn't even
He
remember.
he wouldn't even necessarily know what happened to him either. He saw like that exit wall in front of him, and that's like his last memory. I don't think he has any reason to even realize. I mean, I guess maybe he'll find the darts like in like his side at some point, kind of thing. Um, that's one of those tough things where I think knocking him out in a single shot from those 4 darts, he's not even going to know what hit him when that did happen.
Yeah, I mean, for all he knows, these things were waiting for him and knocked him out. And he was paying like no attention to his surroundings as he was running. So yeah, he has no real idea kind of what knocked him unconscious.
So, we're probably pretty early in this day. I know you guys at least need a short rest here. Um, but you're realistically looking at kind of like, I mean, you're essentially. You guys were right off of a long rest. Where did you actually rest at last session?
I
Yeah, I
think we
think.
rested. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
If I remember right, we rested at that little square place right before the hallway with the floating platforms and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you did another rest in that little room?
I'm trying to remember if that's where we did it or if we did it.
The long rest was in Papa Zotol's. That was after the long day. Elias the Fourth was the long day where you lost Terran. And then Elias the Fifth, which is what today is, you started in the water. You would have moved down to the water, gone through Ijin's temple, done the shadow, and that's where you collected, what is it, like the first, I think, 5 eyes. Oh shit, my bad. I had it. You guys found the skeleton key in Ijin's temple. I didn't even realize that when I rolled for it in the other room. Um, and then casting in the crawlway was when we ended the session. So you guys are probably, that's still getting a lot done after the rest, even though we kind of fast forwarded through things. So it might be like early for you to sit down and try to rest here. But it is kind of the potential of you could potentially try to do like, like a 10 or a 12-hour long rest where you're like resting early. But it's kind of up to you guys what you try to do here. But you're kind of looking at like afternoonish to like early evening. Not that you have any signs of what like the world outside is like.
Yeah, Kyrinos is going to suggest maybe we try and make our way back down a bit before we try to take a long rest. Kind of returning. I mean, he still wants to. Now that all this craziness is over, he still wants to get to the other. Essentially retrace the steps and explore. Kind of up those stairs, those red carpeted stairs. He just knows he can't touch the lever again.
Does that sound good to go back to that level, to the 3rd level down, and try to make your way back into that area?
He's already got Kubazan kind of whispering his ear again, like, "All right, you survived this. Like everything's fine, Miguel. So let's continue."
Andrew would probably be like, well, we should probably take a bit of a rest, but if you feel like comfortable make it down there, sure, we can go down there first.
Let me have the two of you roll d12s. Somebody was trying. So you can move down the stairways through the 1st level, 2nd level, find yourselves like crossing back into like the site of these tiny little eye stalks that pop out of these mushroom areas as you get back down into like this earthy kind of like aberrant weird smell of these mushrooms, and you move past them. You try not to like follow the itch that makes you want to do like nasty things when you see the eyes, because you know that the eyes can only get worse, and eventually find yourselves back inside of this little room. One of the kind of ideas is to clue you in that this is one of the safest rooms in this dungeon. If you guys would like to take a short rest, you are welcome to. If that is enough that you want to move forward from there, you are welcome to. If you do want to try to spend more time and see if you can get a long rest, you are also welcome to do that.
So Kyrinos, at least, I think, is itching to kind of get back across the platform. So he's okay with a short rest, and he can do kind of his song of rest. But he will obviously, if Ernie is opposed and wants to take a longer rest. But Kyrinos' thought is, okay, well, we've gotten back here. We'll take a little breather, maybe an hour or so, and then he wants to try and get back across the platform.
Annie will be advocating for a long rest. Yes, from everything that happened, both having to knock out Kyrinos multiple times and Quinn almost bleeding out and Theros almost being dragged off and made into a monstrosity. A lot of things have happened. Maybe it would be better to just take our time, get our bearings, and rest them.
All right.
So, if you would like, you can start off taking a short rest and burn any hit dice that you want to make sure to have burned before you kind of continue on with the rest of this watch. This is going to be a bit longer of a process here, as you all can't like immediately go to sleep. Everybody is still far too awake to just initially drop into sleep, but you can kind of take it easy here. So this is like an opportunity where you could study. Um, Shit, I already forgot his name, but the Ram guy, Devon. Devon?
Devlin, I think.
Yeah, Devlin. There we go. You can study Devlin's spell book a little bit more while you guys are kind of hidden off here. But you do kind of have like a little bit of extra kind of downtime before anybody is remotely close to actually feeling any level of sleep. But that also gives you the opportunity to take a rest if you would like here.
Yeah. So yeah, Kyrinos will go about kind of giving them a kind of an oratory, kind of like saying like, yes, it was a difficult, a dangerous day, but we made it through, and kind of bolster their spirits.
Anybody burning some hit dice while you take a short rest, you are welcome to add an extra d6.
I think Quinn will burn one hit dice as the fighter. That's 1d10, right?
It is indeed, and also because she has second wind, there is no reason to not burn second wind before a short rest, so you can also second wind for free essentially.
I think she's short wind or second winded after the fight, though, right?
Gotcha. I was vaguely thinking that he might have done that. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, because when she got up and Kyrinos healed her for a bit, and then she second winded for a bit more after that.
And Kyrinos is as part of the when if we try to rest, is going to try and uh, create a transmuter stone.
Excellent. What are you going to have it do?
He is going to have this one do proficiency in Constitution saving throws.
Excellent.
And it doesn't explicitly say, but I imagine that's something he can do as part of the long rest, or is it just 8 hours of non-activity?
Overall, I'm fine for saying you can do it with a long rest there. I'll look into it in the future and make a ruling, but for now, I would say doing it over the long rest works for me.
Okay, thanks.
What is that, like a level 4 ability, or is that level like 7?
I believe it's the second like transmutation or transmuter wizard special ability, which I think kicks in at So I think maybe 5th level or 6th level or something like that. Yeah, 6th level.
Yeah, that one might be a little bit more active than on our long rest kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm fine with not having. I mean, he's made it this far without it, so.
Well, this kind of fits into a pretty solid position, anyways, where you guys are hanging out for, you know, I feel like yesterday in game was a late night. So to say it's like early afternoon now, you almost have to burn between 6 and 8 hours waiting to be tired enough to sleep, where it fits into the idea like you can make it, because if you can get 6 hours of effort in while you guys are waiting, you can do the last 2 hours while you're on watch and finish it before you need to rest for 6 hours. So I think it fits in perfectly because in the long run, this is the exact time that you need to do it in a dungeon like this. Otherwise, you'll never really have an opportunity because this dungeon doesn't really give you like downtime. So I'd say this kind of fits perfectly, where you guys are taking an early day and you're then banking on hopefully finishing it basically during your watch. Um, for what that's worth, though, I'm gonna say like you don't get any chance to look over like Devlin's um, spell book, and then also as with like anytime you're doing something else on your watch, your perception checks I'm gonna have you at disadvantage. But you guys are in a tiny little room. Overall, you guys are again probably in one of the safest places that you'll really find here.
Okay, yeah, and in that case, yeah. So Kiranos will obviously be taking the first watch then, so he can finish up his work.
Gotcha. So again, Chris, if you want to roll a d6, you burned a hit die with Quinn. She can gain an extra d6 from Kiranos doing his Song of Rest. If that's everybody is good for short resting here, Kiranos, you can take the first rest or first watch, and let me just have you do perception disadvantage. Yeah, so I mean, in that case, you're pretty much enraptured by finishing your stone, and the 2 hours of your watch are going to go by pretty seamlessly as you finish this up. And when you are finished, you will have. I mean, I think this is essentially a philosopher's stone as far as what it is designed off of. As far as I'm concerned, I would say you're probably looking at like the truest form of the Philosopher's Stone, almost like fits perfectly for being the Constitution advantage or Constitution like saving throws. But in the long run, you can decide what your stone looks like as you finish off this creation, and then I mean, every time you cast a spell, if you would like, or a transmutation spell, you can change that as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it'll. I think in keeping with the whole goat theme, he's only going to make like a little kind of like, yeah, like maybe kind of give a little like goat kind of features to this stone, and then maybe kind of shape it so that it has a small kind of hole in it, so that he can kind of loop it around and kind of wear it like a almost like a necklace around his neck. Um,
Gotcha. You do like a mountain goat with like rounded horns, and you use like the circle of the horns to turn it into like an emblem that you can actually wear, and like the necklace is kind of held tight around like the loop of the horns.
yeah, yeah, sounds good.
Who's gonna take the second watch?
I think he's thinking Flynn and Zero, or Quinn and Zero's had it probably the roughest, so he's going to go and wake Ernie for second watch.
Gotcha. Andy, if you would, can you do a perception for me, please?
Why did they only roll one there? That
You two have a pretty seamless night go by as you kind of wake for these next 2 hours of the watch. Continuing in the room, everybody seems calm. Everybody seems kind of together. It's probably pretty comforting at this point to recognize that, like, none of these people are trying to kill each other. Brings a little bit of a smile across your face that you were able to kind of save these people. And I'd say after your 2 hours of watching goes by, who would you like to wake for the next 2 hours?
he would probably wake up Quinn next, so that Severus have a bit more of a rest even.
Gotcha. And when you are ready with that, then, if I can get a perception check from Quinn. Quinn, while you are watching over everybody, some of the memories of your hallucinations are kind of flying through your head. You recognize some of, or a lot of, what you were experiencing is like this combination of the hostility that Kyranos was feeling, just as much kind of influenced by these auditory and visual hallucinations that you were feeling as the winds of that next room kind of like delved into you. And there's a certain level of kind of like fear that almost still kind of like sits on your being, as you know, like moment by moment, there's not much to pay attention to in this place. You don't hear things happening right now, but you do know that you're about to step back into that wind. And there's like an almost like kind of like PTSD sort of level of like the fear that's just kind of sitting at the back of your mind, and it recalls you to like hunching in that corner and just being incapacitated by all of these creatures that were just horrific things, and you just continually kind of like try to block out the images of Baphomet trying to torture you, but more and more you kind of recall this odd massive tentacles and this voice that's kind of sitting in your head until you start to realize that you are still hearing one of these hallucinations. And it seems like this creature is still kind of speaking to you, and now it feels more comforting. Kind of looking around and seeing everybody like kind of calmly asleep, you feel like it might be inside of you, but you just kind of hear this like odd language kind of being like said. It seems like powerful magics and like these deep intonations of kind of like booming words where it's almost like um almost at like the edge of perceptibility. Like, Om, Om, and like these large like intoned words, and the power of its voice is just kind of vibrating through you. And you feel this for like the 2 hours or so of your watch to go by. You feel almost as if there is a fifth creature inside of this room with you all. You don't feel anything moving in this room. It's very still in here. You don't hear footsteps, but you hear this booming voice in your head. And the more you listen to it, the more you start to understand that it is calling towards you. You hear your name in whatever language it's speaking. And the more you listen, the more these long, in-tone, loud vowels of vibration start to feel like they are calling Quinn. 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 I'm waiting. And eventually you feel like it's time for you to wake Zeros up and allow Zeros to take watch.
Oh, yeah. Quinn will wake up Zeros and, well, go back to her rest.
So, Zeros, no need for you to roll. As your night goes by, nothing seems to happen. Eventually, you feel like you've watched for the time. Everybody starts to stir as everybody is revitalized by having taken a long rest. You can all now regain all of your spell slots and all of your lost utility as you gain half of your hit dice back. When you guys are ready, preparing to cross this chasm again, what kind of thoughts do you all have as you do it a second time? And also, Quinn, do you share about this creature that seems to have been kind of in your head this day?
No, Quinn doesn't share anything.
Uh, yeah, Kyranos is he's ready to. He was eager to get going again, so he'll be the first to again kind of volunteer to start the be the first to try and cross these again. And this time he is like, I promise I won't touch the lever.
Oh, and Erne, where he goes, like, how deep do you think it is down to the floor below? Could you maybe drop something with light down there? Because I have an idea.
Yes, I could do something like that. Want to hand me one of your arrows? I could drop something like that.
I think you've got one of those more delicate arrows.
Oh yeah, like one of the I'll do that. I'll take one of the ones that we had picked up from the tomb that's not really usable or not really in great shape, and I'll use that instead. Yeah.
Are you just dropping it down? Or are you shooting it down?
He's going to cast light and then on the arrow and then just drop it over the side. He doesn't actually have unless Ernie wants to shoot it, but Kirno said doesn't actually have or decide he doesn't want to use the no, it's just a quiver. Yeah, so he doesn't actually have a bow to use.
You can harvest one of the short crossbows or light crossbows from the tomb dwarf that you guys killed then, to actually have yourself a crossbow. And for what it's worth, you guys have fought a few of them. You can just have a quiver of arrows. Yeah, light crossbow is what it has, though. But you are welcome to one of those if you would like to. But yeah, if you just kind of drop one of these arrows down into that chasm, I think you're going to find that its light comes vaguely halfway up. You're basically going to find, I think your intelligence is high enough to say, you can kind of gather. My light goes roughly 30 feet before it starts to get lost in like the dimness of like its strength waning. This is probably about a 60-foot deep pit.
Yeah, so he'll share that with Ernie and the others.
I was thinking that maybe we could take a rope and down about 60 feet. That's 10 feet we're missing. We only have 2 ropes, right?
You want to walk across the bottom?
I was thinking if you are jumping over, tying a rope on the other balcony, then we tie a rope here on this balcony so we could walk on the bottom instead of trying to jump across all of us.
And I could drop the other rope, tie it off, and lower it down to you once you cross. That doesn't. I don't see any reason why not. Though would mean potentially, possibly leaving this one rope behind. Just wondering, we may need it in the future.
Yeah, maybe, but it's just an idea. And just to make it safer for the ones of us who might not be more as comfortable jumping from platform to platform.
Well, actually, I suppose if I could leap across you onto this first platform, if you tie off the rope, climb down, I should be able to use my mage hand to untie the knot and have you recover the rope at the bottom.
Yes, we could do that. Yeah, then we wouldn't have to sacrifice a rope, or maybe.
The thought right now is like setting a rope up to lower somebody to the bottom.
Yeah, so Kyrinos is planning to leap across the platforms like last time, but I think Ernie's thought is for the others to reduce the risk of potentially falling is to essentially tie off a rope here. It won't get all the way down, but they can just like drop kind of the last 10 feet or so or 15 feet.
Gotcha. If you doubled up on the ropes again, though, you have long enough to reach the base of it, where you could tie the rope down. And if you've got 2 ropes tied together with like a figure 8, then adding like actual like knots in the rope so you have knuckles to kind of grab onto, you guys can easily do that with 100 feet and get down that distance.
Oh yeah, and I guess you guys could, and then from the bottom, just throw the rope up to Kyrinos once he's on the other side, and he can tie it off on that end.
Yeah, and that's the type of thing also, like I feel like at one point you guys made like minute like a tiny little string for setting up the alarm. That's the kind of thing that you could use as like that's part of why you should buy fishing string, is you could tie it to an arrow and bring the string back up. But like the mage hand can go 30 feet, I think, to bringing the rope back up.
30, yeah.
But in the long run, one of the things that I'm going to throw out there is part of why champions are really, really nice fighters is with their like supreme athlete or whatever they get at level 7. Quinn automatically passes jumping over all of these things. Um, she has no effort of this. Uh, Kyrinos essentially has next to no effort to cross these things. I would say you guys have no problem at all to, if you want to lower Einri and Zeros to the bottom, It takes next to no effort for Quinn and Kyranos to like walk across the top of these things. Besides the fact that Einri already proved he's more than capable of making his way across these things. So, as far as I'm concerned, you guys can cross by lowering, 1 to 3 people if you wanted to. But in the long run, most of your party, this is not a challenge to cross.
Yeah, Kyranos is definitely just leaping across again.
So when you guys do make this way across, you can lower a few of you down. You can manage to bring the rope back up to this top level over here. Again, in the long run, I'm not concerned with how you get past this. Once you know what's going on over here, this is not a terribly difficult challenge to get through. When you all eventually come to the other side of this room, you are going to follow this kind of red carpet. Einri, you would notice that there is a hatch that opens up in the wall about the level of the balcony on kind of the northern side of this room.
I would point that out to everyone as I notice it.
Up to you whether that is interesting enough that you actually want to explore it further, or whether you just kind of want to keep it in mind. But you do basically notice that hatch there, and then you guys have the red carpet stairway that kind of leads away from this room to the west.
Do you think, Ernie? Take a look at that. Gesturing to the hatch.
Uh, maybe we could come back to it after we seen what's beyond this stairway.
All right.
So when you get up to the edge of this, I'm not sure if I was echoing back. Was somebody trying to say something?
Nope.
When you get up to the edge of this staircase, you're kind of up to like where there's just a wall. And as far as things go, this is effectively again like kind of like a secret door kind of placed into this wall. As far as things go for Einri to take a moment to kind of like feel around, you eventually can kind of feel that it's like a little bit of a pressure plate that if you like push on the actual wall, theoretically you are going to find whatever mechanism by which this door opened. If you go ahead and push on it, you kind of just put a little bit of that pressure in, and the door is just going to slide slightly to the right where there's a little gap ahead of you. And you can see as your light kind of crosses into this room, there's kind of like a bit of the initial kind of smell of the mycelial mass of this level as you kind of see some of the pinks and purples. You very quickly see that the ground is kind of like a checkered of like a white marble and like a blue marble, and they're kind of like 2 by 2 foot stones. A lot of the purple mass is kind of growing up. Around that wall where this door like initially separates by like 2 inches here as you push out, you will see that there appears to be an armed figure kind of directly in front of you, about like 5 or 6 feet. He seems to be like an armored man who stands about like 6 or 7 feet tall.
I think Kyranos is just going to go directly kind of trying to move inside here or move past the squeeze through the opening.
Gotcha. So the initial opening is just like 2 inches. It's basically enough to get your fist through that you can like move the door to the side. But the door is effectively weightless on it's like a hideaway door. It just moves into the stone of the wall. So you can just kind of slide it from the south side right to or left to right and move it towards the north, and it just like tucks away into the wall.
Gotcha. Yeah, he will do that. And kind of very competently stride in.
So as you open this door more fully and gain a full sight of this, you can see that this armed figure in front of you is indeed a statue. And it seems to be a statued man who's in this full armor. There's another statue on the opposite side of a robed man who seems to be pointing across this area towards the armored figure. And you can see that these two figures are both standing on these discs on the ground, and there's a third disc on the south side that has this like 8-pointed star on it. At the base of these figures there is a hole in the ground, and you see a familiar clay golem that stands at the base of this, and you can see that this pit is about 15 feet below you. You have seen this room before, and your eye is going to immediately cross beyond these figures and stare down this hallway, and you are waiting because you've seen that there is somebody who is patrolling these hallways. You are waiting to see one of these amalgamation constructs that should be somewhere on patrol. What are you thinking here, Kyranos?
Yeah, so Kyranos is so kind of like as he kind of comes to that recognition, he'll kind of like look back towards the others and like, I've seen this place. There's at least one of those things patrolling around. Perhaps we can ambush it, and not sure which direction it might be coming from. But I think he's going to.
Roll an intelligence for me. Yeah. You have effectively seen that this thing was patrolling this hallway, and it was kind of walking up this L, walking up towards that door, walking back. It would walk up to this. Well, I feel like I failed to describe the statues when you saw the vision the first time. That's just my bad, kind of jumping ahead. But like that's where I was like describing the golem. So you basically would watch it being on that like L patrol. So when you step through and immediately open that door, the fact that you don't see it down that hallway with a keen mind, you basically know it's in that like 10 feet of the L before the doorway in front of it. So that's part of why I say like you know that this thing is seconds away from walking into view.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So he's going to. I think Kyranos is actually going to attempt to. So he's going to like tell the others like it's around that must be around that corner, and he's going to attempt to try and conceal himself maybe behind this statue and try to kind of come out and surprise it when it appears. But for now, essentially, he's trying to essentially conceal himself or hide behind this statue if it's large enough.
Yeah, I mean it's like a like 7 or so foot tall human. It's a pretty large figure, but you also do have a big stone door that's like opened up behind you. Do
Oh,
you
right.
think
Yeah.
that's going to be sufficient to like hide you? Do you want them to shut the door and you're going to wait alone? Otherwise, you guys can all hold an action and by surprising it, just attack it the moment you see it.
Yeah, that probably makes more sense. I think he'd probably move to the side to give the others a way in, and yeah, essentially just ready to throw a firebolt when it appears when he catches sight of it.
Aaron is gonna ready a sharpshooter shot. Can.
How about Quinn's? What's she thinking? Trying to charge down that hallway and meet it in combat, or are you gonna just kind of hang out here and wait for the others to get their surprise?
He is actually gonna prepare. Not sure how that works, but prepare to stun with the Spirit of Wango.
Gotcha. Is it just an action for Spirit of Wanga?
Yeah. Use your action to unleash Sonic Assault within 60 feet. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you just said it's a sonic assault, like it's psychic. So she's just kind of like Professor Xavier kind of levels of like just focusing, waiting for this thing to round the corner. And Zeros?
He's just getting ready to blast it with an Eldritch Blast.
Eldritch Blast, I've never actually read it close enough, but I'm pretty sure it's a single spell that you cast. You just get to shoot 2 of the beams, right? So I think when you're holding an action, you're still shooting 2 of them.
Yeah, says the spell creates more than one beam. Yeah, but it is
Yeah,
one
so it's
spell
one
when
attack
casted.
action.
Yeah.
Precisely. So when you guys, this thing rounds the corner moment by moment. Let's go for all 4 of those attacks. Let's actually get you guys in initiative because Quinn's stun matters. Quinn has no chance of stunning for Kyranos. But we'll basically start you off with. Damn, now I should roll its initiative. No, because you guys are holding actions here. So yeah, it does matter. Excellent. I rolled a 4, so it doesn't matter. Henry, you can fire a sharpshooter. I'm pretty sure sneak attack, when it is surprised, counts as a sneak attack. Does that sound right? If so, we're going for 33. And then a stun from Quinn.
See.
I think it always hinges on advantage. So if
Yeah,
if he has advantage because it's surprise, then yes, it would.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything that gives me advantage on surprise, unless being surprised gives me advantage. But otherwise, it's with advantage, or if something's within 5 feet of the enemy.
All right, then I'm thinking of the assassin version of it when you go before something.
Oh yeah, like you have
So
advantage
yeah,
on the attack roll if you go before its first action or something like that.
yeah, I have a feeling it's going to resist Quinn because I rolled a 19. I don't think her DC is that high. I think she's got a DC of like 15 with Wango. So I think that's going to resist, and it's going to go to Kyranos.
Yeah, it's 16, so yeah, it resists.
Gotcha. Firebolt is going to hit for the crit. Oh man, and these things, I don't even think I've played this very well because these things fucking hate fire. For another 25, so we've got it at 49, and then the shot from Zeros. Both of those will hit. Zeros with like the skill to always miss, and you sunk 2 hits. That's solid.
Yeah, I feel like he has good days and bad days. Like sometimes he can't hit anything, and then other days he's like almost like a sniper. He hits like every time.
So 65 is over half. It is going to be immediately bloodied. Immersion to fire. It's going to be disadvantaged on attack rolls and ability checks. But it's basically, I'm going to have it still walking forward on that turn. Even though it's surprised, I don't think I'm going to have it like stop in its tracks surprised. It's still marching this hall because that's what it does. So I'm going to end up with it kind of stopping there. You guys have it bloodied. You've got another round with all of your attacks. I don't see any reason why this thing should live to be able to attack you in response. But we can start with Kyranos. What would you like to do?
The Kyranos or Ernie, I think.
My bad. Henry.
Yeah.
Only Kyranos' name shows up, so I feel like I keep reading it because
Oh,
Henry
okay.
isn't
Yeah.
showing up.
Wait, isn't Aaron's name showing?
Not on my turn order thing.
Might be the special character. A lot of things have trouble with the like accent marks and stuff.
Okay, I could remove the accent mark. That helps.
No, it's also just probably that it's not named.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna sharpshooter twice, with one of them being an aimed shot.
So they're both going to hit. The first one for 27. The second one's going to be the crit for 22 more. Damn, that kind of sucks, like the two. But I don't think it can survive that. I think that's going to be the end of this creature. I think I said. Oh, I didn't do the math last time, but I think it was close to. Was it 49? And then Zeros did another 16, so 65, 55. Yeah, 65. Yeah, another 40 is going to be enough that it kills this thing. So, within moments of basically like walking around this corner, Kyranos, you've already seen the visions of this thing. This thing never even really has a chance to react to you by the time it is collapsing dead on the ground. As it crumples to the ground, you guys have a little bit kind of closer view of like these figures that you're kind of standing around. Let me get a religion check from the two of you, please. The archaeologist who gave zero fucks about religion. What does anthropology even mean? But I think 12 is the DC. Yeah, I'm gonna say at this point, you guys basically recognize like these statues without really understanding who they are statues of. But effectively, what is it? The hooded figure is a bearded male, left hand held high, and its index finger is kind of pointing out and towards the figure on the right side of this pit. Basically, he's pointing to the east. And then the armored male is a knight with his gauntlet right hand extended, and his palm is facing inward towards the knight. Almost as if he's kind of like beckoning the wizard across to him.
Yeah, so Kyranos is going to move towards. Is this like a kind of a pit or an opening in the center here and peer down?
Yep, it's about 15 feet by 15 feet, and it goes about 15 feet down, and that's where the clay golem is.
Okay, gotcha.
We've got Papa Zodal in the mix right now, right? Oh, wait, no, Papa Zodal was kicked out.
Yeah, Papa Zodal is no longer within Kyranos.
And Mao is currently in Zeros.
Yes. Which I keep
So Zeros will hear as Mao kind of like looks over this edge like when Zeros first like approaches close enough to see the golem at the base of this, Mao is just going to kind of whisper to you, "You'll need adamantium or magical weapons for the less magical to harm this creature."
Thank you, Mal. And Zeros will relay that to the others.
I think in the long run, though, you're rocking out. The two physical fighters both have magical weapons, including one of them has the artifact as well.
Yeah, Kyranos is ready to, if that's what we need to do, kind of get down there and fight it.
We really have to get down? Can't we just shoot it from above?
There's no sport in that.
This isn't really a sport, though. It's just taking measures to protect ourselves. Make sure that we don't take harm when we don't need.
Well, all right, you can see from up here then. Um,
Yeah, Ernie will ready an arrow and try to shoot at the clay golem.
Quinn, come pull this rope. I'll be climb down here.
I'm gonna throw the rope down and start to climb down.
Yep. If like Quinn can kind of essentially hold one end, he will. Go to or tie it off maybe around the statue. Actually,
Gotcha.
climb down.
While he goes to do that, are you holding your arrow and waiting, or are you gonna fire before he like climbs down?
If he's climbing down, yeah, I'm probably gonna hold it a bit just because I don't wanna.
So when he throws the rope down there, the rope sits right at his feet, just hovering right where he threw it. Doesn't go into the pit in the least bit.
I think that rules out shooting it from above at least.
You kind of like just like tap with your toe. There's solid ground on top of this. There's something between you and this pit.
Hmm. Tyrnos is going to move to take a look at this. Said it was like a kind of like a not a dais, but like a platform or a disc.
Yeah, so the two statues are each on one of these, and then the southern side is on one of them as well. But all of them are that same eight pointed star.
So Kyrnos is wondering if perhaps this does the if he's going to inspect this disc. Like, are there any signs that there was something that used to maybe be standing on top of this?
Roll a perception if you're just looking. Roll an investigation if you're kind of like rubbing your hand across it to like check for dust kind of thing.
Yeah, I think he'd be a little more hands-on with this one. Yeah. So
I think as you investigate that one, kind of like rubbing your hand across it, it's oddly clean. There's no growth of like this mycelial mass that's growing across the other marble of this room. It gets close on the actual marble and it just doesn't kind of exist on this little, step up that's kind of there. It doesn't seem to have any dust to it. It's oddly clean.
that kind of puts him on edge a little bit. Perhaps if we dragged that thing over here, and if it's just if it needs weight on it, we could try and just drop that amalgamation on it and see if that does anything, rather than having on one of us stand atop it.
Good.
You want to drag the Tome Guardian on top of it?
That's Kyranos' idea.
Well, we could do that. See what happens, or if any.
You drag over the body, and you kind of like lay it across this plinth and kind of like fold it up so it kind of feels like it's on there. Nothing happens.
Yes, I think Kyranos is going to. So he can't see. There seems to be some sort of barrier here, but he is going to attempt to taking his staff, just swing it at the um, kind of apparently invisible barrier and see what happens if he can like essentially smash through it.
Yeah, it's just like brick wall when you hit it with your staff. It just stops, and it'll like ring through your body, just the same as if you were to hit steel that resisted your blow, just the same as hitting stone that resists your blow.
Well, doesn't look like we're going to be able to break our way through it. There must be some trick to it.
Maybe it has something to do with these statues, and Aaron is gonna start investigating that right-hand statue that seemed to be like beckoning.
Okay. The knighted figure, the one in armor.
Yeah.
As you kind of like look at it and kind of like investigate around its base, again, it has that same 8-pointed star. You can kind of see this mechanism is set up that the base is meant to spin. You seem to be able to spin it. You could try clockwise, you could try counterclockwise, but that's kind of the impression that you get is this is a mechanism meant to allow movement.
Oh, then she's gonna go over to the other statue and investigate that also.
And if you'd like, you can walk directly across that pit for one. And two, when you get to the other statue, you can see that this one too seems to be able to spin. You could spin it right or you could spin it left.
Ah, she's first gonna tell us like, well, it seems like these statues can be spun around. Might have something to do with that. I'm gonna try spinning, and she's pointing at the bearded statue. I'm gonna try spinning this one. Be ready in case something happens. And she's gonna try to spin it counterclockwise.
Gotcha. And how is everybody going to ready themselves? What is Quinn, Kyranos, and Zeros? What are you three doing?
So Kyranos is thinking, the thing is the bearded figure is pointing like, he's seen wizards doing that casting spell. So he's essentially thinking the most likely thing is something's going to come shooting out of that finger. So he's basically kind of readying himself to dodge out of the way if it does fire off.
Gotcha. Dodge action from Kyranos. How about Zeros?
I think Zeros has the same idea, them both of them being spellcasters.
And how about for Quinn?
Yeah, she's probably also just gonna hunker down in case something comes shooting. Maybe not thinking mage, but just any kind of trap.
Gotcha. So you guys have, as everybody kind of like readies themselves, kind of preparing for this person or this statue to like almost start to immediately like inundating this room with magical powers. And as you go to turn it, doesn't seem to move. Seems like it won't turn counterclockwise. As soon as Henry starts to turn the figure to the right. You're going to watch as like the mass of the dead construct like slides off of this plinth, and immediately like clay starts to form up in that space, and very quickly this creature starts to like move off of the plinth, and you start to hear the clicks, click 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 click, as the wizard is slowly turning back into position. As the moment you let go and started to recognize that something was coming up behind you, the wizard was already kind of returning to his natural position, spinning back counterclockwise. And we are going to end this session with the clay golem coming up from inside of this pit. And we're going to start with initiative next week, or in 2 weeks.
All right. That was a very fun session, I must say. That whole, especially the whole getting across the thing, and then, yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah, I mean, again, like for what the short-term madness things are, I don't think we could have rolled any better for how like hilarious and how entertaining that was. Because that's the only one that there's hostility, and a lot of them basically just incapacitate you. But very little progress. I was already like, all right, I guarantee we're going to be on level 4 today. There's no way this room is going to take much more than the entire session.
Yes. Oh, so Chris, is next week your work week?
No, I have vacation now, so I will be
Oh, shit.
at home.
Nice. Okay. I forgot about that already. I forgot you started out saying you were on vacation. It didn't even dawn on me. Yeah, I'm about to make sure I've got that marked down correctly. But yeah, we'll pick up with this next week. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, looking forward to. I guess we'll find out next week. Yeah.
What was your question though?
Like if he's gonna have to know, like if the clay golem as it's forming up here, if it seems to be no longer down below, but that would probably be
Yeah, it's coming up from below.
Gotcha. But yeah, that's a pretty good cliffhanger there for the week.
I'll tell
Yeah.
you what, because it like solves most of the danger here. If you guys had spun the knight, you would have sent somebody down to the clay golem, and one of you versus the clay golem could have definitely been very fatal. Versus all of you against the clay golem, it's not going to be nearly as challenging. I think it should be entertaining, but the potential of this thing, like we figured out here, any given room in this place could be deadly at any given time, just as much as they can be like brushed off your shoulder. Like, was that supposed to be challenging?
Okay, so maybe the wizard is, or the bearded figure is like meant to be like conjuring it up, and I guess the knight with the palm inward, that's essentially like a challenge, like laying down the gauntlet kind of thing, like one-on-one combat, maybe.
I think that would kind of fit for it. It's hard to really say. There is actually a chest at the bottom of this thing that the golem is kind of protecting. The knight is Torm, and the wizard is like the Azath, the god of magic. So like, I'm not entirely sure if that's the idea, but I think it kind of fits that the wizard's like beckoning it forward. I think that's a solid way to interpret it, versus like with how they say it. It's just like, yep. One of these figures brings them up. One of them figures brings somebody down.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
But I like that idea.